Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. It is going to be an awesome, fantastic show tonight. We have the legend Kevin Day in the building. You know who the gentleman is, so we're definitely going to be enjoying hearing from him tonight. It's going to be a fantastic show. We got him for hours 1 and 2, so definitely get your questions ready tonight. It's going to be fantastic. Also, we have Drew Banky with After Hours Wrap Up and Steve Stockton Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries for Hour 3. Jam-packed, action-packed show. Don't go anywhere, bro. Bring a friend. Go grab a friend. As we got about a minute left before we start the podcast side. So let me see. Attorney Eternal looks like came in with the gold tonight. Kitty Catty Whack came in with that silver. And Race Fan comes in with the bronze. Thanks for coming on in, guys. Bright and early as always. Also, David Norenberg, thanks for coming in. JSCO77, Frankie B, Roger Murray, June 8th, 1976, issue National Enquirer. Former governor, now President Jimmy Carter, released UFO incident of 1969. So this is when he came out and told his story that he also has seen UFO. So fantastic. Thanks for keeping us informed, Roger Murray. I know I'm not going to get to everybody before the break, before we start the show. But let's see, Mel WD-40, got to get to him because he has to lube the show up, right? How else are we going to get into the show without Mel WD-40 lubing us up? And who else do we have here? Let's see. That's about it for now. Let me go ahead and start the podcast side of this real quick. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Fantastic show playing for you today. We have the legend Kevin Day, who was part of the 2004 Nimitz TIC-TAC UFO incident. Very just the world-renowned incident for hours 1 and 2. Also, we had Drew Banky with the After Hours Wrap-Up, Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries, and UFO and Weird News for Hour 3, jam-packed. Let's go. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight, we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, You can access the archives for absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram @SpacedOutRadio and @SpacedOutRadio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date. That's our newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, you can rock out to the man. Ron Bumblefoot know so much more. Fantastic show planned for tonight. We have Kevin Day from the TIC-TAC incident of 2004 joining us. We also, for hours 1 and 2, we also have Drew Banky tells us with the After Hours wrap up, and then Steve Stockton with Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries and some UFO and weird news. Action-packed show. You still have time to go grab a friend and come and watch. This show is going to be awesome. Get your questions ready, as we will be presenting those to our guest here tonight. And as always, we're just going to hop right on into the show because that's what we do. So let me go ahead and bring up, for the second time here on the After Hours Radio Show, Mr. Kevin Day. Kevin, hi, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you? Hey, and thank you for the invite. Can you see me okay? There I am.
Yeah. I can see you really well, and I'm getting an echo there. Are you able to turn the volume down a little bit, or?
Well, you know, I got StreamYard and YouTube going, so let me mute one of them. You go ahead and keep talking for a sec. I'm afraid to shut down StreamYard because I might turn you off completely.
Yes, it's probably the YouTube one that's giving us the echo.
Okay.
All right, testing.
Can you hear me?
Still getting echo there.
Oh man! All right, I'm gonna shut down YouTube and completely. Okay, I'm only on StreamYard.
Okay, let's hear it.
Can you hear me? Test 1, 2.
I can hear you, but we're getting feedback. You have any way to plug in any headphones?
Not quickly.
Okay.
I'm doing a rearranging and they're stored. Huh?
Turn the volume down just a little bit, and maybe that'll cut back.
You got it. Can you hear me? Is it better now?
Okay, check.
Check.
Still echo. Let me try this here.
Interesting.
Okay, check. Okay, I think we're good now. Can you go ahead and talk, Kevin?
I'm right here. Loud and clear.
All right, great. No echo. Okay, good. We're good now. All right, Kevin. Definitely appreciate you coming on in. You are so important to this space. It's been really cool to sit back and be an observer of someone in real time, kind of encountering, having experience, going through things, coming back. And it's been very valuable for me. And I know a lot of other people out there, and we're just glad to have you part of the community. Glad you haven't run off and just, left ufology behind. And I would like to start because most obviously in the community, you're very well known, but I would like to kind of, if you could, just give a brief synopsis of why you are who you are, why we're having this conversation tonight, maybe go over the Nimitz incident just a little bit for those who are brand new to the subject coming in.
Why I am the way I am? That's an extremely good question because I think it has a lot to do with all of this. The most basic answer is my family, my parents, my siblings. My family came to the United States in 1798. We have a cemetery, Sandusky Island, Chicago, called Cook Corners. My family has served in the U.S. military since before it was even a country, maybe. I don't know. My family name's Cook, okay? I mean, it's pretty obvious where I came from. And basically the other part of that answer is I'm going to get emotional. I always do. Because it hits the nail on the head. That time in 2004 was my last time underway on a ship. And Rob, you have to understand, man, I had 18 and a half years sea time on 6 different seagoing commands. I've been all over the planet. And I used to listen to Coast AM way back in the day, and I was always on the watch for UFOs, UAP, anything odd like that, because I was a radar operator and a damn good one. Okay. However, on my very first deployment, 1988, I had done really well in radar school, graduated #1 out of 90 students, and I did it on purpose so I could get a good ship. I chose the VINCENNES out of San Diego. We went on deployment, 1988. Iran-Iraq war was going on. Rightfully so, we got Iran became upset with us because we got too close to the international line of their country. Our helicopter did. They came out by Iranian bog hammers. Shots were fired, exchanged. We ended up sinking 9 bog hammers. We recovered the aircraft, our aircraft. However, unfortunately, another aircraft wasn't so lucky. Commercial airliner had launched out of Bandar Abbas, Iran, and was headed right for us, right during the skirmish on the water. Oh, by the way, a skirmish no sailor could ever forget. You should have been there. Ship rocket unrolling, people screaming, trying to get the helicopter back on board, right? Yeah. For a junior sailor, it was a pretty eye-opening experience. I was standing right behind Captain Rogers, doing a navigation function, totally unrelated to what was happening, but I had a bird's eye view, okay? And I had been standing in that position for 2 months, and I knew what that aircraft was, because I'd seen it almost every day for months. And I was standing there going, what's going on? Because I wasn't part of the issue. I was doing navigation. And I almost said something, but then Captain Rogers screamed out, "Make goddamn sure that's not a Comair." So I relaxed. I didn't say nothing. I could have gotten us killed. A year earlier, the USS Stark got hit by an Intercept missile off an Iranian aircraft, F4, killed 37 sailors. Okay, so I was stuck. I didn't know what the hell to do. I knew what it was. I thought it could have also been. I could have also been wrong. It could have been an F-14 headed at us. Okay, so Captain Rogers stands up, pickles the key, shoot 2 missiles, and we shoot down Iranian Flight 655. 296 people died. I damn near got out. And I thought better of it. I said, you know what, Kev? Don't get out. Make goddamn sure this never happens again. And so that was my inspiration, okay? So when 2004 rolled around, and no one gave a shit that we had unknown objects coming out of outer space and just fucking blew it off, didn't care, right off my coast, it kind of pissed me off, okay? So I spoke out. I got ridiculed. I got tossed out. I missed promotion. I got laughed out of the DOD. I got accused of doing drugs, and I hadn't. That's what motivated me.
Kevin Dave, so I just want to say this real quick. Thanks for your service, for one, and feel free to be as emotional.
I just got started, Rob. I just got started. This shit that's happening right now in LA has got me fucking fired up.
Okay. Now here's
I'm ready to take up arms.
Kevin,
I'm that fucking pissed.
Here's the one thing we have to try to do is because this does go to radio. So I'll edit out the curse words so far, but if we use other descriptive words, let's say almost the same thing, but just we can't use the curse words, unfortunately. I want you to
hold on, Rob. I can hear curse words on CNN and MSNBC all goddamn day long. Okay, so take that where the sun don't shine. All right, you got me on the show. Live with it.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I will do that for you. And I'll just edit the show. I'll do that for you.
Okay.
So Mr.
But I'll try to calm down. I'll do that for you.
No, okay? don't calm down. I want you to. We spoke last in August of last year. You were very emotional then, and when I see you, you can tell that this has affected you. And I was going to save this until later, but since we're here now, I think, as I said at the beginning of the show, being able to sit back and observe you, kind of, go through this metamorphosis, be affected in the way that you were. I want to make sure that I present this the right way. So being that you have like real-time experience with observing something that you couldn't immediately understand, then dealing with the real-life trauma that at one point overwhelmed you, and I think still is there present today, to be fair. You become a beacon, truthfully. Whether you know it or not, you become a beacon for those who have currently or in the past, or who will in the future at some point experience the same sort of thing that you're going through. So, I would say that you're almost, you have lived on the job experience with having an experience, not knowing what it was, being affected by it, being ridiculed, dealing with the trauma that then followed. So it's almost like you would be the perfect person for others who run into something like that to get advice from, or to say, hey, Kevin, how did you deal with this? But, I'm dealing with the same thing. And I think, I don't know if what you plan on doing going in the future, but I think you would be a real
what you just said, I'm going to help other people.
Yes.
And I have some good news to tell you tonight. There's really good news behind all this.
Yes, let's hear it.
Okay. During the intercept in 2004, we were getting ready to do an air defense exercise. It was my last time on the ship. I was a very senior trainer on combat systems training team, right? And I wasn't even standing watch. I was the guy doing the grading, okay? Because the ships were getting ready to go on deployment, but I was going to go and transfer to Commander Naval Air Packing over on Coronado Island. I was done with the ship, right? I was in a training role. So when this happened, we had watched them for 4 days ahead of time, and getting ready to do the air defense exercise, and I was getting ready to launch a bunch of aircraft off the Nimitz. So Captain Smith comes down to CIC, we call it Combat Information Center. And I said, hey, sir, we've been watching these objects drop out of the outer space, and we have no idea what the hell they are. So I very strongly recommend we either postpone or even cancel the exercise and take one of these aircraft and go check it out. Go VID it. Go intercept it. He looks at me and he says, right, Senior Chief, you're right. Do it. So I was like, yes, because I'd been wanting to, okay? And I finally had a way to do it. So we're running back over to airside in combat. We take control of Fast Eagle 01, Commander Fravors' flight, directed them to the intercept to get to the merge plot position. I believe they were about 20,000 feet, 2000 feet. To get to the merge plot, that object, whatever the hell it was, dropped straight down to the surface of the water. I found out the next day in 0.78 seconds.
Wow.
Let that sink in. So he leaves his wingman up high. He goes chasing it down. The thing recognizes him, and I'll tell you why. It recognized him. It did it. They turned on each other, and right in front of him, right in front of Fast Eagle, it disappeared.
Wow.
It disappeared. Those are his words. Okay. That's, I don't want to say quote, but those are words from Commander Fravor that are now public. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on the headset. I was over talking to the captain who was out. We were watching this, right? And all of a sudden we hear on the overhead speaker, my air controller, he says, he broke protocol because we normally don't talk this way on the radio. He's like, sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is now on your cap station. Now, let me explain what a cap station is. It's a combat air patrol station, okay? And in carrier air defense, we're going to protect the aircraft carrier. And we have picket stations between us and the anticipated direction of the threat. And we man those stations and we're ready to rock and roll if the threat comes at us. And before aircraft even launch, they have their own assigned combat air patrol station or their cap station. Now remember, Fast Eagle 01 is an aircraft that did the dogfight with this thing. Whatever that thing went to, Fast Eagle 01's assigned combat air patrol station. Not close, Drew, or Rob, I'm sorry, but directly on it. Lat long in altitude. As if it knew. As if it knew. How in the hell did it know? Okay? How in the hell did it know? It's a secret location. It's not part of the exercise. It definitely wasn't an adversarial player out of Miramar. It wasn't supposed to be there. At least from my op plan point of view, and maybe some other one person was doing a test, which was illegal if that's the case, and I'll sue their frickin' ass if I ever find out about it, just so you know. So I long thought about that. Okay, why? Why did it do that? Why did it go there? Was it trying to say something? That what? It's like, so that really bugged me for a long time. Okay, so long story short, I said, screw it, I missed promotion. No one's going to believe me anyway. And I had some friends in the DOD by then, of course. And so I picked up the phone, got a job in DOD, went to work as an analyst, doing manning training on an aircraft carrier. And, analyst. And no one would believe me then, too. We had meetings. I'd raise my hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we got what I believe a serious safety of flight risk off the coast of San Diego. And they said, well, what are you talking about, Kevin? And when I told them, when I tried to describe what happened, all they heard was UFO. So what do you think happened to Kevin Day? Okay. I got, yeah, exactly. Right. Same thing. So again, I said, screw this. So I didn't know what the hell to do. I didn't know what to do. So I said, you know what, Kev, you're a pretty damn good writer. You did it all your Navy career. You're the operational writer of every command you ever worked for. Okay. Use it, do it. So I fictionalized the whole damn story from A to Z, changed the names of the players, kept the names of the ships, used the word TIC-TAC. This was in 2008. And I published the book in the Library of Congress in 2009 or late 2008, just in case the story ever became public, my book would become evidence that it really happened.
Yeah.
Time went on. I did the best I can to get on. I ended up back home, Southern Oregon. Got this wild hair to go discover my family's mining claim. We've had it for 100 years back in the Kalmiopsis wilderness. And I did. I found it. I explained the whole geology. NASA became involved, and there's a huge mineral deposit right underneath my feet. And I don't think anyone knew how large it was before. It's called the Josefina ophiolite. I get sidetracked because, Rob, you got to understand this story is so complex. I could easily talk for 4 hours about this because it is so damn amazing and so damn unbelievable. And there's not a day that goes by that says, why the hell me? I didn't ask for this. Okay. I didn't want this. I could have been retired in Hawaii right now. Not that I'm crying for that. Please don't misunderstand me. It's just, I didn't seek it. It found me.
Yeah.
And that's what always happens. So for people out there, you mentioned this earlier, if I can help anyone, and this is the beauty of this thing, okay? This thing changes you if you let it. If you happen to see these objects, or you already have, and you notice yourself changing and you're trying to fight it, don't fight it. Pick up that paintbrush. Okay? Pick up that textbook. Go back to school. Follow it. You're being changed. It's going to bring out things in you that were already there that you didn't know about. And I'm about ready to talk about one of them, but first, I'm sure there's some questions by now. So,
yeah, and man, I love it, man. Pure raw emotion. Very appreciated that you're just being straightforward with this. And I knew, and I said this to myself. I said this to my girl before I came up here. It's like, I want to talk to Kevin about the incident, because obviously there's people who are brand new to the subject here tonight. I'm sure they want to know. They would just want to be brought up to speed, and I think you've done that. And I want you to be fully free and open to express any way that you're feeling at any point. I don't care if you veer off; it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I do want, if you could just to briefly, because we have about 2 minutes before we go to our first break. If you could just briefly talk about that moment that you saw on radar, that initial moment, what you're thinking, and then thing that you did.
My analytical mind kicked in, because we had been in the yards and we had just gotten system upgrades on in the entire strat group. So I'm thinking, oh shit, we got a system glitch here. Okay. So actually the computer personnel recommended to the captain that we bring down all the systems and recalibrate everything, bring everything back up to ensure that we were looking at actual radar contacts. So that was my initial thought. Right along with that, once we had done that and the radar contacts were real, we had the highest spy track quality that you could have at the time, right? They were pinging pretty strongly, okay? Later on, after Commander Favors saw that disturbance in the water after the intercept, I was thinking whales.
Yeah.
Because when this whole thing was happening, I never once had a feeling of hostility. It was a feeling of benevolence.
Yeah.
Okay, these things were not hostile. And my mind's trying to wrap my mind around this. Like, who's ever seen anything like this, especially on a naval warship, For real. And there we were. Figure it out. So that's where my mind was.
Okay. And that's actually a perfect place to leave it, because we have about 45 seconds before we go to break. And yeah, everybody out there, I know you feel Kevin's raw emotion here tonight. He is a hero in this space. We do definitely, and just overall, just thanking him for his service and just being brave enough to be out there and do what you're doing as a soldier. So totally appreciated. We're going to get into some really good stuff here tonight. We're going to go off of this as well, guys. We're going to talk about some of the other things that have happened. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere, because it's going to be an emotion-filled, potentially action-packed show right here on the After Hours Radio Show. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this break.
Hey, Rob, I'll be right back.
All right, we are clear. It's going to be an awesome show tonight, guys. It's going to be that. I love Kevin and how he wears his emotions on his sleeve. You got to be a tough guy to be in the position that he was in the service. And anyone, I always applaud, brave enough to go do that. I never was, which is why music took me this way. So I don't know though if I had it in front of me, if I would have signed paper to go. I don't know. Music took me a different way, and I just always applaud it because for obvious reasons, right? And totally appreciate everybody coming on in. Let me just go ahead and say hi to people that I did miss earlier, which would be let's see, Kurt W75. Let's see, Broken Shadow Feather. And actually, hey, for Kevin, for me, for Drew Banky, for Spaced Out Radio, if we could take a moment and go hit that like button and go tell people that this show is on right now, because I think it'd be a good one for everybody to tune into. Let's see, Amy WC, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate showing on up. The Goblin, Googly Eyes, thanks for coming in. Miss Catherine Jones, I see you out there, and I did tag your questions. Let's see. I said Channel Warhorse, Cosmic Joe Chronicles, because you're going to blame me for missing you. I'm not going to miss you tonight, Cosmic Joseph. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate showing up here tonight. We will get retribution, Super Crazy Movie Geek. That's what it's all about. That's why we do it. They've been hiding the secrets for too long and putting people through unnecessary trauma, right? We're going to touch some of that here too, because I think that is very important to kind of talking about. Tyler 420, thanks for coming on in. Kim Jellin, thanks for coming in as well. Hypersonic, thanks for showing on up here. Let's see. Got about 3 minutes. I think I can hopefully get to everybody here. Moving back. Matt Gudka. Yes. Thanks for coming on in, Matt. Long time no see there, sir. Great Owl. Great host, great guest, Crazy Universe. Let's begin. Thank you very much. And man, this is what I love right here. This type of we're moving the needle. I feel like, I hope so. You guys, well, I know you guys will let us know by hitting that like or not. Let's see. Who else? Backing up. Paramarvelous. Remember to put all your questions in caps for the host of the guests in all caps. It's much easier for the host to catch it. Questions are usually asked in hour 2. That is correct. Paramarvelous. Just put them in caps. I will grab them as I see them. Sometimes I miss some of your questions. Don't get upset with me. Just kind of repost them so I can make sure that we ask them, though. Who else? Let's go back. Amanda's crazy. I know she left. Where is she at? I still want to say what's up to her. Let me get back to Amanda's Crazy Life channel. Saying, I'm sorry, guys. I can feel his pain. I can't watch this. So everyone have a great night. Love to you all, especially Kevin. Yeah, I mean, when you are a compassionate person, your heartstrings are right there, right? And if you're human at all, then you should be able to relate to what it is that Kevin is feeling. And I'm so glad that, like I said, I was going to save for later, and we'll still bring it back up, but he definitely intends on using what he's gone through to help others that may face that. And we know that there's definitely people out there recently who have admitted being affected as well, and in yourself. If you're an experiencer, how when that incident happened, whatever it was, whatever part of the phenomena, you remember how it changed you, how your outlook changed forever. Some took it with like, wow. Some took it with wow, right? And so there's different levels of it. And this is a very needed part, because you can't just assume that you're going to see a UFO. Everything's going to be okay after that. No, it's not the case all the time. Let's see. Surf Psych, thanks for coming on in. Paramar said Nicole Sackett would be proud. Yeah, she would. It's all off the table tonight, man. We're not going to radio. We're doing what Kevin wants to do, and we're getting this message out there tonight, which is what we're definitely going to do. I think that's it. If I missed you, I didn't mean to. Jay True Seeker, I saw you as well. If I missed you, I still got love for you, and we'll come back. Oh, wait a minute. Mark Eddy specifically said, hi, Rob, don't forget me. Mark Eddy, shout out to Mark Eddy out there. Thanks for coming on in. Thank you. Okay. Looks like we're doing good. And we are coming back here in about 30 seconds. So we shall go ahead and bring our guest back up on stage, Mr. Kevin Day, guys. And we got 10 seconds left before we hit radio, or not radio, before we come back from the break. And 5 seconds. Let's get ready to go. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Fantastic show going on tonight. We got Kevin Day from the 2004 USS Nimitz TIC-TAC UFO incident. TIC-TACs have not gone anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. They're still here. We'll talk about that and a lot more. If you missed any of the conversation tonight, make sure you hop in the archive. Totally free. YouTube.com/@Spaced Out Radio. As we go ahead and jump right back into the conversation. So infamously, you know, everyone knows about this TIC-TAC event. It did make national news, global news. And I just want to make sure everybody knows the important part that you played in it. You put eyes on something strange that was dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level, which we can't do that as far as we know, anything that we've built. So it's messing with your mind. You know, you talked about the stigma of you know, reporting this or talking about this, and I just feel so just the heartstrings get pulled, because we understand on lower levels what you were going through there, and hate that it happened. But I'm glad that you did confirm that you would be willing and are going to help people in similar situations. It's needed, and aside from just a normal therapist that doesn't know anything about the phenomenon, I don't know that they would be that helpful. I think you would probably be a lot more helpful than just an average therapist talking to experiencers. So I appreciate that, Kevin. And, you know, we talked I didn't know it was almost a year ago. I thought it was a lot sooner than that. But if you guys go back in the archive, very great interview. First time I got to meet Kevin here, and very emotional as well. And I think you guys should go back and watch that. It was awesome. A lot of stuff has happened since we last talked, Kevin. And I would have never even fathomed that we would have been dealing with some of the stuff we're dealing with. So right a couple months after we talked, we have the drone incursion. Now, I would love to know what Kevin Day is thinking as this develops. We're coming right off the hearing, which was awesome as well. It was who was it? It was Lou Elizondo, and then less than a week later, we get this drone incursion. What are you thinking at the time?
You know, just like on the ships, when you have to ID a contact, you use sources and you have methods to do it. Okay. The issue that I had with trying to identify the drones is I didn't have any sources or any methods to do it with. Okay. I didn't have the information that I needed to make that type of a determination. So I'm just as clueless as anyone else. I have my my guesswork like anyone else might. But I think there's a pretty strong chance they were simple drones. As far as I know, I didn't hear of any reports of them doing any, like they didn't have the 5 observables as far as I know. I mean, let me ask you, were any seen doing UAP like maneuvers?
You know, there were reports from witnesses out there that stated they saw some of these things almost shape shift it from
that would change the equation to
something else. Yeah, that's what they said. But nothing, I guess, is rock solid on that. Ross Coulthard reports a lot about a portion of that being anomalous, but
and then you got in what goes right along with that. Now, you know, we send people to life in prison over people's testimony. Okay, so we can't just simply disregard someone's testimony just because they're not an expert. Okay, they saw what they saw, unless they're out and out lying, which I don't think is the case hardly ever. Okay, hardly ever is someone going to do that. Okay, so I kind of pretty much have to take them at their word, but it's kind of like a trust but verify thing. Okay, because you got atmospheric phenomenon, you got the physiological state of the observer. Okay, were they really tired? Did they just get off work? Were they nearly just had killed in an accident? On and on and on. Were they just in a fight with their ex? Was there something messing with their ability to process information? You know, so there's a lot that goes into those eyewitness reports, but I have to believe that most of them were legitimate. They saw what they saw, and as far as I know, there hasn't been any recent reports of these drones, unless you've heard of some. It kind of fell off the radar.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about that because I think what happened was, because if we're to believe Ross Coulthard, which I have no reason not to, he states that activity maybe not as prevalent, but it's still occurring today. So whatever that means. But, you know, what I was focusing on during the time was, because I came into it like these are just, you know, top secret, maybe mechanical, maybe. But then as the government wasn't giving answers. And day after day, they were being asked and put in a position to put the public at ease, and they did not do that whatsoever. And that's when my feelings started changing. Like, okay, well, why aren't they saying anything?
Well, Rob, a lot things have changed since right around the 2008 timeframe. I think by and large, I think most Americans will pretty much be able to pretty much trust their government, what the government says. I mean, relative to now, they've lost that. I don't believe a goddamn word Trump says. Because he's lied to me too many times. He's a cruel bastard. Yeah. And he's tearing the country from the inside out. So do you think that he would interfere with this drone reporting or have some sort of interference with it? He was able to. Maybe you can make a meme coin out of it, turn it into a crypto deal, put his name on the side of a UAP. Yeah, he would do those things. That's the kind of person he is. And he's our president. Okay. Well, let me rephrase that. He ain't my fucking president. Nope, not even close.
Yeah,
I despise the man. I absolutely despise the man.
I totally get it.
Let me rephrase that. I despise the boy. He is a boy. B-O-Y.
I totally get it. Now, to be fit. Now, hey, Kevin, me and you.
Bone Spurs. He's Mr. Bone Spurs. Didn't serve the goddamn country.
Now, here's the thing. Because, and this is just
me. Yeah, he would screw up the drone reporting. That's the answer. Anyway, go ahead.
This is just to be fair, because, obviously there's people out there on both sides of that conversation, but this did start to happen under the previous president, the last couple months of the presidency, and it kind of converted over to the new president. Now, with that being said, the current president did state, he vowed that he'd figure this out, and he doesn't know why they're not telling the people, and it should be easy to do so.
He didn't have any agenda. He didn't have any. There was no way he was going to do those things. He's too interested in making golf courses in Dubai. The only reason why that fucker ran for president was to stay out of prison. Everything else is just icing. He's figuring it out on the fly because he doesn't have a cue. He's the most low IQ president in world history. And now he's become a dictator.
Do you think presidents are even aware?
It's all related, Rob. All of this stuff is related.
Yeah,
that's why
they're all quote unquote temporary.
It's why the NHI is here today. It's because of that fucker in the White House. You really want to know the truth.
So, but let me ask you this.
He has nuclear keys, okay? You really want to know why? Because he's crazy enough to blow us all up because someone disrespected him. He's that kind of person. He's that dangerous, and he needs to be dealt with. He needs to be impeached, a fucking sap. If not, then this country's going to go to a civil war. It's that simple. I can show you the math.
I can agree and understand where you're coming from. But to not dive into the whole Trump bashing party, because
Rob, it's related.
I can agree with you.
Related.
It's all related. It is all related, and I want to connect those dots tonight.
Okay, let's do it then.
So
let's do it right now. I'll connect them for you.
I think the big thing that I think everyone can agree with on either side of the conversation is that maybe the presidents aren't aware, as it has been said previously, because we did have one side that was in office during the initial and wasn't giving any answers at all. And then we switched to the other side and still didn't get it. Well, we got an answer, but it was something along the lines of we allowed those things to be up there and they were conducting research. That was essentially what was said. Now, Trump's promise, he's the current president, Trump's promise to release the UFO files, I felt like was not going to happen. And any of the other things.
They don't trust him enough. He'll put his name on it and try to make money with it.
Do you think either president would have been briefed on what those things were?
No way. No way. No way.
Okay.
Nope.
Recently, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said, for the most part, he was asked just within the last week, that we don't know what the drone origins were. What do you think about that? How could they not know? If you saw UFO come from 80,000 feet and hit sea level, how would they not been able to follow these drones to their destination or from their origin? Do you think that's a bunch of BS or what?
Well, in the case of 04, I can tell you why they weren't followed to their destination. In other cases, I don't know. Perhaps some were and some weren't. But in the case of 04, they were coming out of 80,000 feet in groups of 5 to 10 at a time. They would drop straight down and very quickly, under a second, to right off the east coast of Catalina Island. And they would just sit there. And then one at a time, they'd depart the larger group and fly directly over the Whiskey 291 or operating area. And we would watch them go over the top of us, right? Like, what in the hell? But I didn't have any aircraft on the Nimitz aircraft carrier, so I wasn't really concerned. And we're in a warning area, not restricted airspace. We can warn them to stay away. In this case, they didn't listen anyway. Okay, but here's the thing, Rob. Every single one of those objects, and remember, my spy radar is moving all over the operating area. Okay, it's not a range thing here. I'm telling you about. Mm-hmm. Every single one of those, or wasn't over the horizon radar feed I'm talking about. Every single one of those objects disappeared off the entire strike group radar picture in exactly the same spot in the sky, which was about 60 miles north of Guadalupe Island. And then they dropped right down into the ocean, according to the fishermen out there. Okay. Which was found out later by Lou Elizondo and Tom DeLong when they went out to visit and talk to them after they came to see me. Okay, so in this case, they dropped out of the sky and they went down into the water. Now, I challenge your listeners, if you go on Google Earth and you look at the bottom of that ocean right there, you're going to see some anomalies on the bottom of that water about 60 miles north of Guadalupe Island that are very interesting. They have mining claims down there. That's why they're here. They are here for mining claims. Now, for those who have never really heard this idea before, now, you've heard of transpermia, right?
Yes.
Okay. Basically evolution, okay? So DNA, let's talk about DNA. It's made out of phosphates and sugars, okay? You know, phosphates being the lattice and the sugars being the rungs, okay? I'm not a medical doctor or a biologist, and that's my understanding of it, okay? And let me ask you something, Rob. Where's the purest form of phosphates on the planet?
You got me. Where at?
Down at hydrothermal vents.
Okay.
So I believe they're going down to these hydrothermal vents, and they're collecting very pure phosphates and very pure pre-organics, and they're creating little seeds, if you will, and they're taking them out there, and they're putting them on potential host planets to spread life. Okay. Earth is a nursery in the heavens. We're not the only one, but we're pretty damn precious, and they are not going to let us blow it up with nuclear weapons. Okay, you see how this all comes back? And they're not going to let this orange-faced freak in the White House blow us up with nuclear weapons.
Now,
and he will. He is that deranged. He will do that thing. It's been it was written, it was prophesied about, and I'm not religious, but these things have been spoken about long before I ever lived, okay? Now, you can say they're all lies, and you can deny all that stuff, but you can turn on the TV, you're seeing it with your own damn eyes. That man is insane.
True, right?
He's crazy. He's insane, and he has a bunch of people working for him that have drank the Kool-Aid, okay? And most of them are probably pretty decent people.
I will agree there's definitely some wild stuff going on there, and I for whatever reason. But let me ask you this, Kevin. So these drones is what we'll just call them, because they're coming in from the ocean. You had mayors out there in New Jersey who were standing on the shore with law enforcement officials who were seeing these things come in by the dozens from the ocean, make it with no ship out there or launch point in sight. And it sounds like when you tell the TIC-TAC story of how these things were just dropping down the ocean or even coming out of the ocean, there's familiarity there. And I always say, okay, looking at what we're dealing with now in the current, is you look at history as a great example, and the TIC-TAC event kind of this event mimics what the TIC-TAC had been reportedly doing. So is that enough evidence there? Because as you said, circumstantial evidence can get a person convicted and put away for life. Is that enough evidence to at least say, hey, let's at least look at the two and see how they could be related?
Absolutely. Wouldn't it have to be? I mean, in light of no other evidence?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at here. I think they are here for two reasons. And I've been told this, and I won't go into specifics, okay? But I have a good friend that's in contact, okay? And I sat in with a session, and they said, I know this sounds crazy, and believe me, I didn't ask for this, and it's taken me years to get my head around this, and I'm pretty much just a normal guy, so to hear my own self say this kind of shit, it really bugs me, okay? Just so you know. But apparently, I was told that Kevin's ideas are correct, and they talking about themselves. We are here for two reasons: for rocks and souls. We are here for Earth's rocks and Earth's souls.
Okay, the souls part.
That's gonna freak you out.
Yeah.
But don't let it. Okay, it's actually really good news, believe it or not. Okay, remember when I was telling you that story about why in the hell that thing went to Commander Fravors' assigned combat air patrol station?
Yes.
Okay, now fast forward all that time. Commander Fravor comes out. I'm working at the golf course. We're watching the golf tournament. All of a sudden, CNN breaks, and the TIC-TAC video comes on. I dropped the plate of food. I was so damn shocked. I get home. I don't remember how. I pick up the phone, talk to Gary Voorhees. We plan a trip out to SoCal. New York University gets involved. Some of the world's top physicists get involved. Quantum scientists. We had a table about 20 feet long in Huntington Beach. All this gear pointing towards Catalina Island. Sheriff comes over clowning us like, oh, okay, what in the hell's going on here? The neighbors are calling in, wondering how we're doing, right? Obviously. But guess what happened? UAP showed up right above Catalina Island on radar. We collected 600 hours, 2 gamma ray spikes back to back, which is impossible. Okay, gamma ray spikes, 1,000,000 to 1 odds or better than that. Maybe a magnitude of order more impossible than that. Back to back gamma ray spikes. Okay, letting us know they were there. Okay, and I stopped. I said, okay, now they knew where my intentions were in 04, and they knew my intentions to be on this roof. So maybe that's what they're trying to tell me here, that intentions are the missing link. Intentions. Yeah. Intention itself is the missing puzzle piece here. And now think about this for a sec. We've all heard about the fundamental forces, right? We have gravity, we have strong nuclear, we have weak nuclear, and we have electromagnetism, right? I submit there's a fifth one called intention. Now, why in the hell do I think that? Well, I look at the universe and I see that it's pretty well put together and it looks pretty intentful. So I ask myself, I say, okay, well, if that's the case, was it? Was the universe created intentionally? It sure appears that way. Let me ask the question. And I did. I said, okay, was the universe intentional? Yes or no? I don't know. I have no idea. But let's just say that it was, okay, for sake of argument. Okay, let's go down that road. Okay, what happened to the intender of the universe? Okay. Did the intender survive his creation or her creation? Or did it commit a cosmic suicide? Okay, let's say it survived. Is it benign, just kind of hangs out, kind of laughs at us forever, doesn't do anything? Or is it active? I'm pretty darn sure that intention is an active force. You hear it all day on TV. This is his intent. That's her intent. I mean, you hear that word all day long, don't you? I hear it more than I hear the word gravity. So I think intention is a fundamental force. Okay. And because I know I can't destroy gravity, I can reform gravity and use it in different ways. Therefore, I can't destroy intention. Think about this. If my soul is intention, then that means my soul does ever die.
Right.
That's why they're here. They are keeping an eye out, if you will, for humans that are ready for the next level of being.
Okay.
And that is why people like Trump are not going to do very well in the next life. He scores an F. Okay.
Okay.
He's got too much. He's an evil person with a capital E. Okay. A negative intention filled, big time. Okay. And that's why they're here. There is an afterlife. The Bible is correct. I'm not religious, but the Bible is correct about that. You can't kill intention. You can't kill gravity. I can't kill electromagnetism, and I can't do away with the nuclear forces. Okay. It's ditto for intention. It is a real fundamental force. And not only that, Rob, I've quantified it. I've turned it into an equation. I have by equation related intention to the fundamental forces. This equals that. Okay. And I've taken that equation and I've come up with derivatives and I've aligned it and integrated it with all of the known mass sets. And it aligns with like a long lost cousin. So I started applying my math derivatives to things like politics. And I started making predictions about a year ago. And every single one of my predictions is spot on true. I predicted when Musk was going to leave, for example, and I predicted almost to the exact day, 143 days, he was going to be gone. How many days was it? Let me ask you. I can show you the math. Okay.
I'll send you the math. Huh? Yeah, please do. We're running into our top of the hour break. Okay. Before we do that, just a quick answer. You talked about the intent when it came to Catalina Island, and that was tearing the sky with Caroline Corey, who I got a chance to speak to.
Correct.
Do you think those objects were the same as the TIC-TACs or doing the same behaviors?
They were doing the same behaviors.
Okay.
It was the same benevolent. It was the same benevolent brothers. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay, that's excellent. And actually, I'm glad we went there. So what we're going to do, we have about 10 seconds left before we go into our top of the hour break. We will be right back on the After Hours Radio Show with Kevin Day, getting deeper and deeper. And we'll be back in just a minute.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, guys, we will be right back after this break. See you in 5. All right, everybody, welcome back. Space Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 2. As we get ready to get back into conversation here tonight. And it is going to be a fantastic one. And I do understand everyone's views on politics. You're going to be on one side, you're going to be on the other. And we're trying to stay away from the topic itself. But, as I said, it is an emotional time in the world. The world is all shook up for various reasons. But, it means you care. 2 seconds, and here we go. Or not, as we crash. Let me go ahead and bring this back up. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 2. We are back with our guest, Kevin Day, from 2004 Nimitz TIC-TAC UFO incident. Crazy. If you don't know what that is, you definitely want to do your research. You can also hop back in the archive. Awesome conversation tonight, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, where the options are endless. As we get ready to jump right back into the conversation here, we'll bring Kevin right back in here. So, Kevin, second hour. So, what we talked about, you definitely felt like those TIC-TAC UFO from 2004 is essentially in the same family or the same thing that you encountered with Terror in the Sky of Caroline Corey. That's a great connection to make. We also have talked about the drones that have been seen coming from the ocean, from where, who knows, likely from under the ocean is what a lot of people feel, exhibiting some of the same behaviors, but they didn't look the same, obviously, but just goes to, I think the common denominator is that something's underwater. As we move a little bit further into this, you had whistleblower Jake Barber. This is another thing that happened since the last time we talked. This blew my mind when I first saw this report come out, and I see this video of this egg-shaped object being lifted by a helicopter in what's supposedly a crash retrieval video. And my mindset is that, okay, they're retrieving this object and they're taking it to where it resides, government contractor somewhere. So Jake Barber at this point is the highest whistleblower, who actually dealt with an object and transported it somewhere. When you saw that report come out, you saw the video of the object. How were you feeling about that? Oh, I'm sorry. You're muted here. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm probably just like everyone else, Rob, on that. There is so much misinformation and disinformation out there right now. And now we've got the reality of AI, now even generative AI. It's really, really difficult to believe anything anymore. So again, I go back to the credibility of the witnesses. That's pretty much what I have to go by. In this case, I have to conclude that he's not lying. I mean, why would he lie about it? For real. I mean, that would be pretty stupid of me, I think.
Let me ask you this. When you see this, because here's the thing, for this is what I got kind of upset with in the moment, is that a lot of people, even within our community, who believe UFOs are real, they looked at this video and they laughed it off because here's this thing that they're calling an egg, and they're saying, oh, they just filmed an egg and that's all this is. But did you feel like when you saw that, did you think TIC-TAC? Or was there a familiarity there at all?
I was 50-50, I guess. I had an open mind, but I wouldn't have been surprised to learn that it was a fake, put it that way. But at the same time, I had an open mind about it. Again, I didn't have enough information to make a determination one way or the other. And that's part of the problem here, Rob. I mean, even you're a newspaper delivery. I'm dating myself, okay? you're a UPS delivery man out doing their rounds, right? And you see a UFO. You never seen one. It's like, okay, what do you do with that? You go home and tell the pizza guy that you on the way home to get pizza? I mean, no, who's going to believe you, right? Especially 10, 20 years ago. And then if you do talk about it, you get labeled, you know? So I think it's just now where people are starting to be brave enough to even talk about it, especially report things about it. I mean, it's common now to hear it in the grocery supermarket, you know, people in the checkout line talking about UFOs openly. That never happened 20 years ago. That's one good thing that's happened. If and when these things do land on the White House lawn, I don't think there won't be the level of ontological shock that there would have been 20 years ago. I think that society at large is more prepared than we were before. And that might be part of what's going on to prepare us for what's about to happen.
You know, when I saw that, I had a UFO encounter where I saw 47 objects. They were oblong shaped. And for me, it kind of resonated with me. And I talked to Caroline Corey, and we're supposed to connect on this, but I'm going to send her my video because I felt like the objects I captured, and I'm in Bakersfield, California, not too far from all that stuff. And I felt like it was the same thing depicted in Tear in the Sky. Not as big as a TIC-TAC, it didn't seem to be, but they were still the same shape. So everyone's laughing at this egg. And for me, it was an aha moment. Like, that's essentially the thing that I saw. So I felt like, okay, if someone was going to go through the trouble to hoax a video, that they would pick something that's more universally recognized as a UFO and not simply an egg-shaped object. For me, that gave validity to what was being shown, because if you were going to fake something, you wouldn't pick that shape. That wouldn't be what you would pick. So for me, it brought it home. Now, with that being said, Jake Barber also, in his interview, he displayed some of that, you know, trauma or emotion after talking about his sighting. Same as with you, and that's why I asked earlier in the show if you would be a person willing to kind of
he's a credible witness. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like it just shows that there's other people going through the same thing. And here's the other thing. We had Jeremy Corbell recently come with the new TIC-TAC video. Did you see that?
I don't recall. I get hit with a lot of stuff, so I'm not.
Okay. I did take a screen image of what it depicted just to show you in the audience as well. And so this is, on the left is Nimitz TIC-TAC.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the right is the 2023 USS Jackson TIC-TAC. And they're same exact object.
Yeah.
And I think the point being is that TIC-TAC has never gone anywhere.
Right? This would happen in SoCal too, right? I'm not sure where the Jackson is.
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was actually. And here's what I'll do, because for those who are not familiar, I'm going to go ahead, and there's a quick article on this. So new footage for the object on the right. We'll talk about the one on the left. This is Kevin Day's object on the left with the Nimitz encounter. On the right is the 2023 USS Jackson UFO. And it's basically just stated, this is courtesy of New York Post, stating new footage by a military combat ship's advanced radar system captured one of four observed TIC-TAC shaped unidentified objects flying off the coast of California, in 2023. The radar footage was purportedly recorded by active duty naval officers stationed on the USS Jackson on February 15, 2023, off the coast of San Diego, California, who also witnessed one of the objects with their own eyes, according to ufologist Jeremy Corbell, who released the captivating clip Tuesday. Quote, "You have trained observers, people that are taking a risk by going to journalists or putting it out," Corbell said on his podcast, Weaponized, introducing the clip. The first self-illuminated TIC-TAC observed on the night of February 13, 2023, was seen with the naked eye of an active duty naval officer emerging from the Pacific Ocean and transitioning directly into air flight without any plumes or exhaust signatures of conventional propulsion, according to Corbell. That officer then rushed into the radar room and immediately fired up the computers to attempt to track the anomalous object using forward-looking infrared radar, or FLIR, Corbell reported. That ish took off earlier, the Navy operator can be heard saying on the video, describing one of the then slowly moving objects observed by his shipmates. What's that? 22,000 feet, another naval officer commented. Scramble the jets, one Navy operator could be heard saying in jest. I tell you what, wouldn't surprise me, another said as they watched the objects on radar, with cruciform signatures showing popping up on the radar interface indicated to the naval operators that there were indeed physical objects in the sky that the radar was unsuccessfully attempting to lock onto. These 4 TIC-TACs were then seen departing instantaneously in an apparently synchronized and coordinated maneuver, witnesses say. The unidentified objects recalled the small fleet of mysterious flyers seen harassing U.S. warships off the coast of California in 2019, executing brazen maneuvers over several days. Those white lights were able to avoid radar detection entirely. Just last year, former NASA astronaut and ISS Commander Leroy Chow reported a close encounter while flying a private plane in Texas in which 2 metallic-looking orbs came within 10 feet of clipping his wing. Like the TIC-TACs witnessed in 2023, these 3-foot diameter orbs also exhibited no visible means of propulsion. So he kind of gave details on how this kind of transpired. How did that sound compared to your, like, is this spot on to kind of the procedures that you guys went through when the happened?
Yeah, pretty much, other than the fact that Jackson was probably a lot more prepared than the crew that Princeton and the strike group Nimitz was. This was so out of the blue for our crews. It was probably a lot harder to accept. Now, when this incident happened, a lot of years had gone by, and I'm sure at the schoolhouses and then, in the training teams and stuff, they're aware of these things in the sky and they have procedures in place to deal with it. So I'm guessing that now the radar operators are trained to expect this kind of thing. And if they do happen to see one, report it, just like we do with any other aircraft. But to answer the question, yeah, it's pretty similar, same area, same type of detection equipment was used, same level of astonishment. Like the lieutenant commander that saw it pop out of the water, it reminded me of my first encounter when I walked into Combat Information Center and saw objects dropped in out of 80,000 feet.
Very similar. Here's the thing for me. What it says is that between your incident in 2004 and likely well before that, continuing up through at least 2023 and probably up till today, TIC-TACs haven't gone anywhere. They're there. They're still there every single day, all the time, coming in and out of the water. This wasn't a one-off thing. They're doing it all the time, I think, is what we could walk away with from that. And let me ask you this as well, because I have a soundbite that I wanted to play after this. Do you think the TIC-TAC is not from here, or do you think potentially it could be a black project?
I think by this point, it could be both. But the technology was definitely not from here. Now, has it been captured by now, and aspects of it have been understood and tried to applications that are being tried in the laboratory? Certainly. And in fact, I myself have some of the mathematics that might be being used on board these things.
Interesting.
And it wasn't hard to figure out either, by the way. So yeah,
for me, here's what I was thinking, Kevin. I was just looking at, because they always say whatever comes out is been worked on for the last 30, 40 years. Right. And so you look at TIC-TAC, 2004, we're talking 21 years ago. If it was Black Project, for me, I feel like it was definitely still, maybe around the 90s. So I just feel like, why wouldn't the technology at this point be implemented? But there could be a very good reason for that. But absolutely. I do want to play this. There's a soundbite from Representative Burleson, who's on the UAP task force or committee. And this is what he said. and then I just want you to tell me what you think. So this will be a video for YouTube. For podcast audience, you'll hear audio on this. And let me go ahead and play what he said on the Tim Pool podcast.
But that was a really funny story about these tic-tacs and drones and these sightings. And I was saying, you know, it's probably U.S. military technology they're not disclosing. How insane would it be for the U.S. to be like, by the way, here's the latest weapon we've developed. It can fly and move through space and time. However, in the article, it said the sightings were 70 miles away from a naval research base for advanced aeronautics or whatever. And I was like, are we stupid? Come on. Like, the U.S. So not all of it, but I think one of the stories, one of the explanations we get often is that the U.S. government likes the narrative of aliens because it does two things. It throws people off the scent of the weapons tech they're developing, but it's also terrifying to our adversaries if they do believe that aliens have allied with us and have given us advanced tech.
Yes, I've heard that too. And there's moments where in this journey, I have come to that conclusion. But then there's also moments where, so for example, one individual, I've had two people come to me that say that the TIC-TAC is a Lockheed Martin creation. The latest person that came to me says he has video of the first, second, and third iteration of the TIC-TAC, and he's going to show me. So I'm trying to set that up. The way he describes it is that they had a prototype, they've made changes to it, they've made it more advanced, and then now it's in iteration number 3, which I did see a photo of, and it looks like pretty advanced military like craft, like a plane, but it's clearly human made. It's nothing that I've ever seen, our military has, but his claim is that they have discovered a propulsion that's a new type of propulsion. They used it in the first iteration, which was the TIC-TAC. They have an intermediary one that they are more advanced with, and then now they're putting it inside of what looks conventional, so that it's not obvious.
Disguise. Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying eventually the tech makes its way into things that we're already familiar with.
Well, right. But I thought you were explaining that if someone were to see it, they'd say it's a plane.
Right. They would say that's a military plane.
How do you feel about that conversation there, Kevin? What do you think about that?
Well, I think, I haven't talked to these gentlemen, so I don't want to put words in their mouth, but my initial thought is, are they forgetting that there's been reports of UFOs going back 2,000 years? I mean, these things were written about in ancient documents in the Bible, and even before that, stories of Native Americans, South Americans, people in Africa have been seeing these things eons. Okay. Now I have an open mind. Okay. And if I find out that this was another test layered on top of my exercise, I'm suing them because it's illegal as hell.
Yeah.
Because it ends up getting people killed. Okay. I had an exercise going. I was going to fill the sky full of airplanes, people that would really like to get back to their families. They got kids at home. Okay. Think about this. And some other jackass puts objects in my sky that I'm going to run into. I don't think so. It's illegal. There's a name for it. It's a red flag. It's the red flag law. And if that's what happened, there's going to be a class action lawsuit. And whoever did this got to be scared as hell, because I'm going to fight, because it ruined my life in that regard. It ruined my career. It almost drove me insane. And if this was us and this to us, I got news for them.
Doesn't make sense to me that would be it. Now, here's the thing. Okay,
I don't think that's the answer. That's what I'm saying, because they're not that stupid. The people that I knew in the military and the DOD, they would never do something like that. Therefore, I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah,
these are not our objects.
And here's the thing, just to put it in perspective, right? Because on the outside of it, just someone on the outside is looking at the TIC-TAC incident like, oh, okay, it happened in 2004. There really isn't any other proof that it's ever happened. Then we get 2023. So then now that shows you at least a 20-year gap, likely we know way longer than that, but at least a 20-year gap where TIC-TAC is hanging around and doing things around naval ships. Now, one time off, they're like, okay, let's test it on this group, and then never did it again. But this would obviously mean that they're doing it all the time for 20 years, which that definitely doesn't make sense. And here's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, if someone is actually bringing Burleson this information and showing Burleson pictures of something that looks man-made, that looks like a TIC-TAC, could that possibly be someone within the program or in the secret government that is attempting to misinform Congress?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I don't want to cast aspersions if that's the case, because the person doing that might not even know they're being used as a tool.
Yeah.
They might be an honest person just doing their job, okay, thinking they're doing the right thing, being used.
Okay.
We have to be careful here. You know, there's a lot of good people in government trying to do the right things. And I don't believe DOD would layer an exercise on top of another military exercise, fully knowing that people could get killed.
So let me ask you this. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's just say it is government tech. We find out it's government tech. If it is, and if it would be considered man-made, what do you think that implies about, military programs or where we may be in technological advancements? Like, would that be a scary place to be if this was made by man?
We better hope the hell we're the only ones with it.
Yeah,
because I have to tell you, in 2004, when we were out there doing the exercise, of course, we didn't have any weapons with us. It's for safety reasons, obviously. It's an exercise. We want to break things and kill people. But if we had been armed and these things had been hostile, there wasn't a goddamn thing we could have done about it.
Yeah.
They just sunk all the ships easily. Flew right through them, sunk us.
If you were looking from an adversarial position, say we hadn't discovered it or figured out the tech to do it here in the U.S., but somehow, some way, some other country has done this, wouldn't you feel, or would you think that maybe they would have used it in a war setting by now?
By now?
Yeah, after 20 years, 20 plus years.
Well, you can talk about it as soon as tomorrow. Maybe it just hasn't happened yet.
Okay. And that could be that's a good answer. That could definitely be the case.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I would hope the hell this thing would be used for good purposes, like getting the planet off fossil fuels, stabilizing our currency systems, figuring out a different way to produce electricity without polluting the sky and the planet, figure out better ways to use it to grow crops and get hungry kids fed in Africa. Things like that.
Yeah.
Good things. Not evil stuff.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I was in the military, and I know you have to have a strong defense. I get that, of course. Nuclear weapons, kind of the same question. And obviously those have been used in war. Right. So that's a reality of this thing. If someone does crack the nut on this and they have the mindset to annihilate an opponent, then goodbye, opponent.
Yeah, it would be bad. An instant delivery weapon, yeah, it would be pretty bad. And that's why I just feel like with the countries that do have power out there, being that they are communist countries, that they would be more likely to use it and wouldn't care about the outcome. But
and you want to know the scary part, Rob?
Yeah.
Whatever these objects are, with the right human mind working with them, they can appear in the enemy's backyard.
Yeah, you're right about that. And
just by intention.
Yep, we'll be back. We're going to take this last break of the night right here with Kevin Day. Awesome conversation, guys. right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. We'll see you back right after the break. All right, we are clear. How is everyone doing out there? Pulse check. How is everyone doing out there? Kevin Kennedy, TMI. If you only knew. Got you. Let's see how everyone's doing out there. Let's see. Seymour Glass. I don't know if I'm hopping in on someone's conversation in the middle here. You can't throw out the data does support. Okay, this is probably some other conversation. I'm not in that. Let me go ahead and see what else is going on here. Okay. Yes. Also, let me remind you guys, questions. This is what we'll be doing when we come back. Got a couple things that I did want to cover or touch, but then we'll pose your questions to Kevin Day. So please go ahead and get those put in caps so I can go ahead and take care of that. Okay, let me see. Oh, Jules is in the building. I didn't get to say hi to Jules. Sister Jules, she still has a pulse, and I'm glad that she does, because we need her here every single night. We need her here. Undead Jed, we need you too. We need Bob Berkins as well. We need Bobby Berkins right here each and every night. We need Gray Owl right here with us each and every night. Deb from Sacramento, you as well. Everyone, Andrew Gnomes Trucking, chilling out. I like that. Let's see. Let me go back in time here. See who. Oh, CJ Estes, new name. Here's the new name spiel. Here, I didn't get to this yet. So, if you're here for the first time, you just happen to come on a night where we're doing the After Hours Radio Show, which is Saturdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific. And you also have Dirty Filth with the cryptic cartoons on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. You have UFO Max with Grantavious Max on Wednesdays at, I think, 8 p.m. Pacific. And you have, there's so many shows now. You have Element 115 on Fridays at 8 p.m. Then you have Dave Scott Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. until midnight. And the point I'm trying to make is 7 days a week. If you come to this channel, there was something going on each and every day. And we'd appreciate if you consider hitting that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell so you know when we go live, because we love to see you in the chat here. So got that out the way. And let me go ahead and there was Woo Riders DG. Appreciate you. Didn't get to say hi to you earlier. Let's see. Josephus, who's on first? Benno from Oz, 1975. Thank you for coming on in. Seymour Glass. I don't know if I did say hi to you or not, but I'm going to do it now. Hello. Thanks for coming in. Let me see. Just anyone else? I think I've said hi to everyone else, except for Blue Cruise. Definitely got to say hi to Blue Cruise. Thanks for coming on in. Melinda Unknown as well. And I think now we're good. I feel comfortable. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable. Okay. Oh, Polly Rotterman. New. Gotta say Polly Rotterman. Thanks for coming on in. Let me see. This is a question. Let me tag that for you. Make sure I haven't missed any of these. Yeah. Yes, sir, Drew Banky. Triangle Craft tonight. Yes. We got to show it. Morris Van Buskirk. Is that right? Did I say it right? First time? Amy WC. There's only someone you miss. Don't worry, Rob. Yeah, I tried, Yeah, I know how it is. I just hopefully if I did miss you, you understand, you know, we'll be okay. Warden Dragon, hey Warden Dragon, thanks for coming on in. And CJS is probably in Israel. Yep, probably in Israel, all the way from Israel, joining us right now in our chat, hanging out. Appreciate you. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So we got about 20 seconds here, and we'll be coming in. This is the questions. We got Kevin Day here for the next maybe 20, 22 minutes. Make sure you get your questions in. We're going to go ahead and pick up on some of those in just a moment. And we are coming back in 10 seconds. Let me go bring our guest back on stage in 5 seconds. And here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, After Hours Radio Show. Back half of the second hour here. It's gone fast for me here with our fantastic guest, Kevin Day. He's been here for hours 1 and 2, talking some real good stuff, emotional stuff too at moments, and I love it. If you missed any of the conversation, make sure you hop in the archive, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, as we get ready to jump back in and wrap this thing up with Kevin Day. So kind of jumping right back into it, we were kind of in the middle of some stuff there. And so TIC-TACs, we talked about the delivery method. If it was going to deliver nuclear, if it was made by some adversary, that would be trouble. I totally agree with that. There was something there was something that Ross Coulthard had recently said. I don't know if you caught this either. Ross said recently, within the last couple of weeks, that he was told that something is supposedly going to take place in 2027, and that he also mentioned the year 2034 as well. He also states that he was essentially told that we are on borrowed time, and felt kind of, impending doom behind that statement. What do you think about, did you hear about when he said that, first of all, and then what does that mean to you, if anything?
I did not hear his comments, so although I do have to agree there's something about to happen. And I don't think all hope is lost. I don't. I think, and the reason why I do, there's another reason why NHI could be here right now. And it does have something to do with the present state of world governments, yes, including ours. But there's another reason I believe they might be here. Let me ask you, what else has happened in the last year in terms of technology?
AI.
Okay, now, if these are truly advanced beings and non-human intelligence, presumably far advanced than us, and they're biological, then at some point in their own evolution, they too would have had to jump over the hurdle of AI.
Yeah.
Okay, and perhaps that's why they're here. So we don't end up taking ourselves down with it, which is possible. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against AI. In fact, I'm one of the pioneer users of it. I use it almost every day because I'm developing mathematical equations from it. And where that came from, that's another whole story. I'm not a mathematician.
Seems like
look at math,
okay,
and it tells me a story. Or I can take the story, walking down the street on a walk, and something happens, and I can describe it using math.
Okay.
And that all started. It all started with my ability to quantify intention directly with the four fundamental forces. And it's really simple equation, and the most powerful equations are very simple, and mine is real simple. It's the force of intention equals your specific intent, which can be minus, neutral, or plus. It can be a plus or minus a function of the fundamental forces. Okay, and then there's a scale. A frog has an intention. Presumably God has an intention, and we have intentions. All right. So there's a scale of intention. And that is the equation for the force of intention. So I've taken that very simple equation and I've integrated it into things like Mandelbrot, things like Lucia, things like the gravitational force equations. And it aligns with all of them like a long lost cousin. I have yet to find a place where my math doesn't work. And it produces predictions that are astonishingly accurate. I have yet to try to apply it where it didn't work and did not come out with an accurate prediction. Now, so I'm kind of in a quandary because I don't have a laboratory. I don't have a quantum number generator where I can sit behind it and test my equations. Now, I do have a friend that's promised to try it in the laboratory, and it hasn't happened yet. So what I decided to do is decided to try this in the financial markets. I've applied my equations to the financial markets, and lo and behold, I can take a piece of news like this riot down in LA that's being caused by Trump. He owns it. Okay. And then I built that into a computer program that, and essentially in this case, I knew what the spark was going to be, but let's say it's just a normal day. I wake up, I have my RSS engine go out and I scan all the news in the universe of news on a planet. It brings it back into my system. It categorizes it. It classifies it, down to the economic the segments that are going to be touched by it. It's using Mandelbrot fractals to do this, okay? And it goes farther than that. It goes down one more level, and it goes down to specific company symbols that are probably going to be affected. And it comes up with buy, sell, or hold symbols. So it doesn't even look at the technicals until the very last steps, the last layer in the equation. No one's ever done this before. Almost, in fact, I think all stock software is based on Bayesian inference. Mine's completely different. Mine comes from a completely different perspective. It finds the stocks going the other way because it traces the intention back to what's going to happen. Because it's kind of like this. I kind of wrote a jingle. It says, from macro to micro, the future leaves a trace. The future leaves a trace. The future leaves a trace. And you can find out what it is through the mathematics of equation. And I'm very happy to share this with anyone that wants to see it. In fact, I've posted a lot of it on my Facebook over the last year. And some of your listeners have been following my predictions. And they can call me a liar to my face, but I think I have yet to miss one. I know I've already gained the attentions of the 3 later agencies. Every time I go on an airplane or in the airport, I'm being followed. In town here, I'm see them all the time following me. Not that they think that I'm up to bad things necessarily, but they want to keep an eye on me, I think.
It makes sense.
Because I'm onto something here, something very, very powerful. And please know I have no intention of I love people, man.
That is what I do know.
That's why I'm so pissed off about LA. It tears me up. My family came here in the 1800s. They're tearing apart what we all built from the inside out.
So
how in the hell can we stand for this?
Yeah, I know. Believe me.
Don't let me around that motherfucker.
Offline, we probably could have a really deep conversation about that. But here's what I can ask you because it does apply.
It's related, Rob. It's related.
I know it is.
It's all related.
I know it is.
You got it.
So here's
because of that Trump.
Here's the thing. Like if this was the Rob G radio show, this was my channel. Hey, I do it with you all day long. But I'm working on this channel, for someone else on behalf. It's like I can't technically go there with you on air, but I do understand, and I'm totally aligned with you. But this question ties into this right here. So it's because earlier we talked about how and Jake Barber being affected by this. You talked about intention when it comes to the phenomenon. We talked about that in the last interview as well. And when it comes to the phenomenon experiences, and we talk about that same sentiment, would that drive you to working with others? That's what I want to see. That's what I want to talk about real quick. Like, in what way do you think you could take what you have lived through up till now, the roller coaster? What could you use tools beautiful. To give to other people?
That's beautiful. You know why? Because when this happened to me personally, I spoke out about it. I chose to speak because of my career, and I was a TOPGUN graduate in the whole 9 yards, one of the best of the best. I could show you my 219 and all my evals and all that. Meritorious Service Medal, the whole 9, combat action ribbon, the whole 9 yards, right? I wasn't prepared for this, especially when the changes started to happen. I was on this one road, and all of a sudden this bifurcation came, and I'm in the wilderness looking for gold, which I found, by the way. I didn't understand it. It almost drove me nuts. Because what in the hell would happen? And my family too, they're like, what in the hell happened to Kevin? What? So if you see these things, and use me as an example, don't beat yourself up. You are changing. Accept it. Go with it. If you suddenly want to become a zoologist, go for it. Something's telling you, listen, embrace it. Go with it, be that badass go for it.
What do you think? Because some people, and here's the difference, right? You wear your heart on your sleeve, which I like. I like that. I'm the same way. There are some people that don't. Some people hold it in, right? And they just put on a face and they just hold it in. They don't want anyone to see it. What do you say to those people?
Well, Rob, God bless them. They didn't wear our shoes growing up. They, in some cases, may have had a horrible upbringing, and they just don't trust people, and for very good reasons.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not a lot of fun to be a kid, in this world. But if someone, for anyone that sees these things, have an open mind. I very strongly doubt they're going to shoot you with a laser right there on the spot. Come on. Have an open mind about it. If you feel yourself starting to change, and if people around you start to ask you what's going on, understand that you saw something and it affected you, and don't be ashamed.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Don't make excuses. Just tell your loved ones that, dang it, I want to be a zoologist. It's something I've always thought about, and I'm going back to school. Go with it. Be you, because this thing is going to change you. It's going to, and I think it vibrates something deep inside of us, in the deep areas of our brain, in the basal area, back on the top of the spinal column. I think it just uncovers something that's always been inside of you. I really do. I know for a fact it affected me, and it still is. I mean, I found out I could do mathematics just a year ago. What else is inside me I don't know about?
Yeah.
Right.
The silver lining. Yeah. I mean,
that. I don't have any intention at all of becoming a politician, for example. But who knows? You know what? Who knows? It's there's things hidden in all of us that just waiting to be discovered. So if you see these things, and it's going to shock you, so what? And if it starts to change you, so what? Accept it, know it, and understand that. And understand that's the reason. Okay, 2 + 2 = 4. You're not going crazy.
That's great advice, and I think that is your end game. I think the end game is you helping people, and I think you're almost there. You're getting it out your system, and you're almost there. We got about 10 minutes to get to the audience questions here, so I'm gonna rush right into it. Paramarv is asking you, there's some debate in the community about UFO versus UAP. What's the difference in your mind? And is it the government playing a shell game with the terminology?
From an operations specialist radar operator's mind, it's the same thing. It's just unknown. I mean, you focus on that first letter, the U, unknown.
Yeah.
That's that word for a very good reason. We don't know until we know, right? And it's the same way on the ship. You have to keep an open mind so you don't end up doing things like shooting down commercial airliners, for example.
On the Nimitz, Kim Jellen wants to know, were there lots of other witnesses?
Absolutely. There's you got to remember the USS Princeton was only one ship of the strike group that was out there. And there was a supply ship with us, I believe. But all the other ships had spy radar with the exception of the Nimitz. They had the SPS-48 it's a rotating radar. And and when you're out there, just like on the internet, data links, we all share a composite picture. All of our radar images combines and becomes one composite unified picture. And so the answer is yes. Everyone in the strike group tracked these things on radar and infrared and other electronic devices.
Okay. Miss Catherine Jones is asking, how many UFOs, UAPs did you capture on your monitor at one time?
That's a great question. Over the course of 10 days, approximately 10 days, in groups of 5 to 10 at a time, I personally counted about 100 of these objects in total.
Wow.
100. They were on some sort of convoy. But let me ask you this, Rob. This is interesting. Canadian geese, they fly north to south, one time a year?
Yes.
You see them. I mean, they just came over not too long ago here. And it seems to me like these things are appearing with 20-year separations now. So 20 years from now, if they come back over Catalina, that's going to pretty much set up a pattern that these things are coming from somewhere that takes 20 years to get here.
Canadian geese.
Either that, or they come out of hibernation every 20 years, like a bear bottom of the ocean.
I keep hearing Canadian geese as being the debunker's explanation for so many different UFO sightings. That's why I had to laugh at Canadian geese. It's ridiculous, but let me see. Gray Owl is, and this is kind of lightens it up. Gray Owl is saying, Kevin, should I hold out faith that the UFO Enigma will end up being smoking hot alien space babes?
There's hope.
Never know.
But they could all look, well, there's a possibility they could all look like brass door hinges too. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. But Super Crazy Movie Geek is asking, do you know anything about a significant UFO or cosmic related event? So this is the 2027 question that some allege will be happening in 2027. And we talked about that. You stated AI was your thought, and that makes total sense because I literally in the last week, every single day, there was a new video talking about we're at the breaking point for AI. We've gone too far. It's out of control every single day. And so it's funny, not really funny, but it's ironic that was your answer. And it makes total sense because I think that is probably one of the biggest threats outside of human beings, even above extraterrestrials right now. And they could very well be here to stop them from eliminating us. I can agree with that. That makes sense. But the next question from Roger Murray was, Kevin Day, what's your opinion on Dr. Stephen Greer claims TIC-TAC UFOs are all technology or all a hoax? You know, Greer talks about the false flag thing. So I think that's what he's alluding to.
Again, it's probably complicated. Both could be true at once. Some of the sightings are actually legitimate objects that are not human. And some of the sightings are atmospheric phenomenon. Some of the sightings are Canadian geese. Some of the sightings are bald-faced lies. Some of the sightings are advanced technologies. So it's complex. And there is no purely yes or purely no answer. I don't believe it's all of the above.
Okay, let me see those. This one was funny. We'll ask that later. I just want you to know Roger Murray says Kevin Day got my president for president vote. So you got to.
I hate the fly. Maybe the Middle East can hook me up with a new airplane.
Let me see. Okay, so this was going to the intention part of the conversation. So Kim Jellin was asking, slime molds don't reason. They don't have a brain. Is it possible they use intention?
Absolutely. Let's take the case of a snail, right? A snail's crawling on the ground, and a snail's got the intention to go to someplace, right? Slithering along, and it basically follows moisture trails. I mean, I don't see how a snail could do that without some sort of intention to actually do that. So yeah, everything that's biological has an intention. Not only that, everything has an intention field, and I can show you in the mathematics. Let me give you one example. A stock. Pick your stock, IBM. Okay, if you create a database with all the stock information going back 40 years, 50 years for IBM, right? And you apply AI to it. All right. Now that stock you can ascertain that personality that stock has. Okay. And then you can apply functions to it. You can, for example, getting stopped out of the market too early because you sold before you should have, because you weren't paying attention to the normal characteristic of that stock's personality, if you will. And in the math, I call it an intention field. Okay. So you can turn it into math. You can take the latest news stories, and you can figure out how and why that stock's intention field is going to be impacted by that news story. And that's how I'm able to pick stocks so accurately. Now I'm about ready to actually go into production with the stock, with my program. And my original intention was just to keep it for myself, okay, and maybe a few friends. But it's so damn powerful, I'm going to have to share it. And I mean, you can make a lot of money very quickly with this. And my whole program is not designed to make a whole bunch of money at once. What I do is I go in and I'll pick like IBM, and my target for the morning, because it's a day trading system, right, is I'm trying to capture 1% to 3% profit. Let's say my initial grub stake is 10,000, right? Mm-hmm. And once I get 3% of that, the system's designed to say, okay, sell. Wow. Reinvest the money. And then that profit, whatever you make for that day, it rolls into the next day, and that's your new fund for the next day. Ooh. So very, very quickly, these 1% to 3% wins, the 3% profits add up astonishingly quickly.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you don't take your money out of the market. And the real secret to it is using very effective stop losses. And I've developed the calculus to do that, to apply intention fills to stop losses. So I can do the alpha trades. Again, I'm not a mathematician. Okay, I'm an amateur I'm amateur at it now, and I've probably done more study than a lot of people with degrees. Okay, and that's a fact. I'm not making that up. Okay, but what the system does is it uses the personality to find the sweet spot. Okay, and that's where it buys, and then it uses the stock's personality to find the sweet spot or where to sell, and that's where it sells. So
I would love to talk to you about that, because I'm a numbers guy as well, but we got about 20 seconds before we are done here. Could you tell everybody where they can find you real quick before the break comes?
Kevin.day.10048 on Facebook.
All right. You have been awesome, Kevin Day. You're perfect. You were perfect tonight. You mean a lot to the community. I just want you to make sure that you know that. And that next step we talked about, helping others, is very important. Can't wait to see you do it. Thanks for coming in, Kevin. Have a great rest of your night. We'll talk again soon.
You're listening to After Hours with
Take care.
Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, everybody. See you back here in 5. Make sure you're back. 5 minutes. All right, everyone. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. We're in the third after hour. We're in the final after hour right here. And we're going to get things started right in about 10 seconds here coming back from break. So be ready because we got Steve Stockton Tales Untold Mispersonal Mysteries. We got Drew Baker with After Hours Wrap Up. We got a UFO and Weird News Story. Guys, let's go. Thought I fixed that, but apparently it didn't. All right, everyone. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 3, the third and final hour. I want to thank our guests tonight, Kevin Day. Hours 1 and 2, fantastic conversation, emotional conversation as well, informative conversation as well. I think so. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. If you missed anything we talked about tonight, hop on archive, absolutely free, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. This hour, we will be getting into Steve Stockton Tales Untold Mispersonal Mysteries, Drew Baker with the After Hours Wrap Up, and some UFO and weird news. Guys, let's go ahead and get started with Steve Stockton Tales Untold Mispersonal Mysteries. We missed him last night, but guess what? We got him tonight.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. First up, David O'Sullivan. David disappeared April 7th, 2017. 25-year-old Irishman, David O'Sullivan planned a 5-month hike on the PCT in April of 2017. He left Middleton, County Cork, Ireland on March 20th, but sadly, David never returned to his home country. A novice hiker, he started in Campo on March 22nd and had planned hiking the entire PCT from the border with Mexico to that with Canada. His trail name was Leprechaun. David spent a lot of time preparing for his trip, regularly tackling Terra Unta, the highest peak in Ireland, at 1,038.6 meters, carrying weights, and he also transformed his parents' garage into a mini gym. Having completed a media course as well as a degree in English and philosophy at the University College Cork, David saved money from his job working in a local garage in Middleton to fund his trip. He was inspired to walk the PCT, having read the book Wild, which also became a film starring Reese Witherspoon. O'Sullivan is described as 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighed 154 pounds, has brown hair, blue eyes, wears glasses, and has a heavy Irish accent. He'd been hiking for 2.5 weeks when he found himself in Idlewild, a small mountain town at the foot of the San Jacinto Mountain on April 5th. Idlewild is a popular holiday spot, and he spent the night at the Idlewild Inn, a family-owned accommodation. His mom, Carmel, spoke about the last time he was seen. He arrived into this little town on the 5th called Idlewild. It's about halfway up the mountain, 2.5 weeks into his hike. He did a few chores, got in touch with all his friends on Facebook, and contacted us. Everything was going fine. And he was leaving on the morning of the 7th, and he's not been heard of or seen since. Correspondence with his family indicates that David had plans to hike on the morning of the 7th. He'd been waiting for an adapter for his Kindle to arrive at the post office. I was considering waiting until it opened until he set off the next day, but he was concerned that it might interfere with his schedule. It is not known whether he tried to pick up the adapter or not, but it is certain he never received it, as it ended up back at the retailer. An email he sent on that very same morning will be the last communication that David ever made. There was unusual weather on the San Jacinto Mountain that year, with an unusual amount of snow for so early in the season. There are numerous trails up the mountain, with Devil's Slide being by far the most popular, but just one day before David was last seen, a hiker reported getting a mile into the trail before encountering snow and turning back. Now, David had no alpine experience, but he had told other hikers he had no intention of hiking the snow, and he did not buy any snow equipment prior to his journey. He did make a $70 purchase at the local outdoor store Nomads, but the item was not registered on their point of sale. According to the store, all their snow equipment would have been listed on their receipt. David was also using a half-mile map, a brand specifically created for the Pacific Coast Trail. The map advised hikers to hike up Black Mountain Road when snow was present in order to avoid the most dangerous part of the terrain. David had been working hard at a garage and saved for a year to go on his Pacific Crest adventure. He visited an ATM before he set off up the mountain, but only withdrew enough to buy more food at the next stop. A sizable amount was left in his account and has not been touched since that final transaction. At home, David's mother Carmel and father Con were becoming increasingly concerned. David had warned them that there would be periods of several weeks where he would not be able to get in touch, but feeling that something was wrong, his parents went ahead and contacted the Pacific Crest Trail Association in April. They were told to sit tight and wait to see if David turned up. He had arranged to meet a friend in Santa Barbara in May, but he never arrived. Carmel and Con called the PCT Association back once again, only to be told that they were not a babysitting service and that there was nothing they could do. As a result, David was not officially reported missing until June 30th, 12 weeks after he had last been seen. A massive search was launched in Whitewater Preserve, an area just north of the San Jacinto Mountains, which would have been en route to David's next scheduled stop. Yet, despite the use of helicopters, dogs, and ATVs, the search and rescue team came up short. With no evidence of foul play, there has been little in the way of official investigation since then. Several hikers have called in eyewitness statements thinking they may have seen David at some point on the trail, but none of these sightings has been positively confirmed, with most vaguely referring to a hiker with an accent. It's since become known that there was a German man who bears a striking resemblance to David on the trail at the same time, and it's possible that some people may have confused the two. In December 2017, an aerial survey was conducted over Idlewild. The pilot, Gus Calderon, and mission specialist Richard McCrae overflew 88 square miles of both mountain face and deep desert, taking over 1,000 photographs of the ground below. Volunteers analyzed those images in great detail, looking for signs of David's blue backpack. Gus and Richard used software supplied by Aero Scientific to conduct the survey. Aero Scientific's flight planning software, known as Flight Planner, and flight management system, known as Avitrix, were used to plan the flight runs over Idlewild and manage the camera system throughout the flight. The aerial survey successfully acquired 1,235 color images of the area at 4-inch resolution. On a regular basis, volunteers, largely from San Diego's Irish community, still scour the mountain on foot and on horses, looking for any signs of David. Drones have been flown over, grid by grid, while people on the ground examine thousands of images for any clues. At the time of this recording, David is still missing. Next, we have the case of Chris Fowler, who disappeared October 12, 2016. 34-year-old Chris Fowler, trail name Sherpa, was completing his NOBO, or northbound, through hike in Washington on the Pacific Crest Trail. On October 12, 2016, he was dropped off near the trailhead at White Pass, Packwood, where he grabbed a coffee before he headed toward the Canadian border to complete the last 366 miles of his hike. Unfortunately, that was the last time he was ever seen alive. His last cell phone ping was in that area near White Pass around 5 p.m. Considerable amounts of snow and freezing rain fell over the next few days. Authorities and volunteers searched much of the trail between White Pass and the Canadian border, yet no sign of Chris was found. While official search and rescue teams under the Yakima Sheriff's Department did an initial search along the PCT from White Pass, in addition to flyovers and road searches, after the initial search, they focused primarily on the area surrounding Blowout Mountain, the location of an unconfirmed sighting by 2 bear hunters on October 22nd. 3 years later, in 2019, Yakima County search and rescue volunteers again conducted multiple searches, led by Sergeant Randy Briscoe. Fowler said another 15 to 20 volunteers form what she calls her team behind the scenes, a coordinated effort dedicated to combing through the areas they know well. But again, nothing was found. Given the severity of the storm, had Chris had made it to Highway 410 at Chinook Pass, 28 miles from where he started at White Pass. He could have pulled out and sought refuge in town, albeit very cold, wet, and tired, as all hikers were that bailed off trail during that storm. Since he didn't do so, though, it's believed he went off trail somewhere between White Pass and Chinook Pass, 28-mile section. How far off trail is the question. Some consider any sightings from mid-October or later in any search areas north of Chinook Pass, like Blowout Mountain, to be bogus. Did Chris just succumb to hypothermia on the PCT that October? As of this recording, we have no answers. Next, we have Christopher Stephen Sylvia. He disappeared February 16th, 2015, from Warner Springs, California. Chris Sylvia was hiking southbound on the PCT from Anza to Campo. He started his trek near State Route 74 in Anza on February 12, 2015, and planned to hike for at least a week before contacting his friends to pick him up. On February 16th, he called a friend and asked to be picked up the next day at the Buddhist temple on Chihuahua Valley Road. Sylvia's roommate went to the designated spot at the agreed-upon time, but Sylvia never showed up. At first, his roommate just assumed he had decided not to go to the temple after all. Search teams from Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties searched in vain for 4 days before bad weather forced them to suspend the search and rescue operation. On February 20th, another hiker found Sylvia's gear, including identification, sleeping bag, and backpack, laid out alongside the Pacific Crest Trail near mile marker 127, not far from Mike's place. Despite a large search effort, Sylvia was never heard from again. Chris was described as an experienced outdoorsman, and his mother stated it would be uncharacteristic for him to go hiking alone or to leave his gear behind. When he disappeared, he was known to be wearing a dark-colored fleece jacket, green camouflage print pants, and brown and black hiking boots. He had brown hair, hazel eyes, a mustache, a tattoo of Asian symbols on his side, and a goatee at the time of his disappearance.
Wow. Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries, another, I almost want to say fantastic, but it's not, because these people are missing. Some of them have been found, but this person could still be missing. So heart-wrenching tales from Steve Stockton. We always love to have him being a part of the After Hours radio show right here on Spaced Out Radio. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the segment that everyone all knows and loves. We're going to bring our guy Drew Banke forward here with the After Hours wrap up. Let's go ahead and do that right about now.
You're an irredeemable monster!
Come here, I'm gonna eat you! Get in my belly!
Get down in the north! Get down in the north! Go it! This man's got north! You're a monster!
Oh, man. Love your intro, man. Thanks for coming on in. Drew Banke with the After Hours wrap up. We had the legend Kevin Day here today, hours 1 and 2. I know you were back there in the back. So we'll definitely talk about the interview. Also coming up during the break for our viewing audience, Drew Banke has something that he sent me over. We talked about yesterday, alluded to. We'll be showing that during the break. Just for everybody out there in radio, it's a UFO. Drew Banke caught a UFO. So we'll go and be looking at that on break. You want to see it, come over to YouTube. But we'll be doing that. And then this last thing I'll save to the end of the show, which will be the continuation to the UFO so big they had to build a building around it. We did a little bit of legwork on that the other last weekend, and we're just going to kind of either continue the story or close the case tonight for sure. So Drew Banke, After Hours wrap up, man. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you, man. And yeah, you're right there. What'd you think about tonight?
Dude, I just gotta say, fuck yeah. I just gotta say it. I mean, I gotta take the opportunity. I just gotta take the opportunity.
It's all good. It's all good. I won't.
Kevin's a good friend. Obviously, he's a veteran brother, and I've known him for a while. I've had him on my show back when I used to have Eagles Nest podcast when that was really pumping. I had him on, and yeah, he's a passionate guy who's had a genuine experience, and he speaks from the heart, and that's apparent. He's got a lot of opinion. He's a very smart gentleman. Like, he's obviously been changed by the experience, and that's apparent. We spoke about that last night. I can't remember if it was after the show. I think we spoke for like an hour and a half after the show last night, after we cut. But just speaking about how when you have like an experience like that, it changes, it starts to change you. Like, it changes you in ways that's hard to explain. And I think a lot of people that has been through that experience knows what I'm talking about. But it's it brings ideas into you, and I feel like it's always for the betterment. And Kevin is a very genuine, humanity loving person that a lot of us that's served in the military shares this sense of service and the sense of just being in service to our fellow human. That's why, for one, you raise your hand to go into the military, and then you find out you have this bigger thing to help people, and Kevin's starting to open up to that, and starting to help other people with his experience, and starting to transform that trauma from that experience into helping other people. And I think it's beautiful to witness.
Yeah, I agree with you, Drew Banky. And I feel like I handled everything the way we were supposed to do tonight, and I knew coming into this that that Kevin's an emotional individual, and I encourage that. Actually, I encourage showing your emotion, because I think that's real and that's raw, and that should be what you should be portraying, not a fake face, not a fake. Let's talk about how you feel. Now, obviously, there's some containment that you can keep that within, and I think we did. I kind of went over a couple times, but
yeah.
When you look around, and some people are affected by world events, some people are not. There are definitely events happening in the world that are, and I'm a humanity person, as you know, and there are things in the world right now that affect humanity. I literally 3 months ago had to take a month off of just everything because of where we were in this world. And I'm a pro-humanity guy, so anytime I see anything going against human beings, their best benefit, then it saddens me, and it makes me, it discourages me. So hearing someone speak from the heart, that's just how it feels, and I would give anyone out there the same consideration. If you're being true and emotional, and you have a moment or two, that's okay. And I told my girl before the show, I was like, Kevin's a crier. He's a crier, because I talked to him. I've seen him on other interviews. He definitely displays that, which is a cool characteristic. And I said, I want to try to keep up. I know that there are certain things that trigger those emotions, and I wanted to try to stay away from those things. Some of this was kind of unexpected, and I could have prepared. I didn't prepare for the things that were unexpected, but I will say that the intent was to, definitely be yourself, man, and talk about how you feel, and the focus being the trauma that these things inflict on you, just to show the audience and the world that it doesn't just go like, okay, I saw a UFO, now I'm going on with my life as everything is normal. No, there's a lot of individuals who immediately their life changes the moment, and mine's changed in that way. A lot of people that I know have changed in that way. Some people display emotion, some people don't. And I think it was cool that he talked to the people that bottle it in and hold it in, kind of let it out, and don't be afraid to do that. But just know that this is a profound experience, and it's something that will change you.
For sure. And I'm glad that there's some things that people don't know about Kevin, if you've heard the story before, but but take into account, like, he's staring at a screen and looking at this stuff on radar, like not just one but multiple crafts, what he said, in groups of 5 or more at a time, and he's staring at these for days before anything is done. Like that alone, like, and you got to think, probably what's going, you can only like speculate what's going through his mind without asking him particularly, but you got to think he's probably the only person in the world, or a handful of people in the world, 4 or 5 people in the world that knows about this going on, and you can't tell anybody. There's just so many layers to it that you don't even take into account, because obviously that was his experience, and he's doing the best to articulate it, and him sharing it and everything, I think it helps him each time he does share it, and gets a little bit more off his chest each time. I think this is part of the healing process. I know it's for me, like sharing experiences, deep experiences like that transform me, helps me process it when I share it. So it's a give and take thing, and yeah, it's nobody can understand like what it was like to look at that radar screen, just like nobody can understand what it was like for Commander Fravor that was in the jet, like actually visually seeing it, and tracking it like that, and doing the dogfight, as Kevin said tonight, with the craft. So, and there's everybody, that's what we was talking about last night. Everybody has their experiences, and we need to hear all of it. And each time that Kevin tells it, he gets a little better telling the story, a little better articulating and passing on the message of what happened that day. And sometimes it gets emotional. It was a spicy first hour, I will say that, but that happens from time to time. It's not always going to be Preston Dennett here going through
cases and things like that.
Just a steady thing. That's what's about. It's different. It's a spicy Sunday night, guys. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing, and if you've been around here enough, that I always talk about having real conversations, and that this subject we're in, the fact that humanity is facing one of the biggest moments that we can think of in history, then it is one of those, moments where the conversations that we have aren't going to always be PG, and they're not going to always be safe. They're going to be rocky sometimes. They're going to be very emotional on both sides. You're going to hear some things you don't like, vice versa. I'm going to hear some things I don't like. But the point is to work through all that and we still have to keep moving forward, regardless of the conversation that's being had. The conversation, just as you said earlier, is therapy and helps you get to that next step. And I know his vision has to, and he confirmed it, which was awesome, that he will be in it just like yourself. You've helped other veterans out there, and that's why I say that's a selfless thing, and that's why I love Drew Banky and what he does. But he's going to be the same. His mission is the same, but on a different page, where he is going to be a good tool. We are witnessing someone go through an experience, the traumatic effects, the ridicule, the effects of being ridiculed, all in real time, where he's on the stage for all of us to see. Some people make fun of it. Some people shouldn't make fun of it, because it is literally what a lot of people are dealing with right now. And, with that being said, man, he's an awesome guy, man. He's an awesome guy.
And I want to point this out. Like there are people, obviously there are people that vibe with me and with how I deliver the message and everything. And I'm really honored by that and humbled by that. But that being said, there are people that are going to be drawn to Kevin because of his rawness, because the rawness that they're feeling inside them. So we all have our place, we all have our purpose.
Well said, Jubanky. We're going to go ahead and jump into the last break here tonight on the Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, where tough conversations happen and will continue to happen as we move that needle forward. You guys, I always say, we're going to break. If you go somewhere, just make sure you come right back. The rest of the show is coming up after the break. All right, we are crystal clear, and let me bring up because I have it already. I got it already ready, man. I put in some slides, bro. So we'll just do it like that.
Let's do it. Yeah. So this is.
Yeah, go ahead and set it up.
It was early morning is June 2nd. So I think it was about around 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because I was outside trying to catch the aurora borealis. It was after the show, so it was early Monday morning. But
all right, let me do this. Remove that and put that on the stage, and let me move a couple things out the way. We'll move that, and then we'll do this. All right. So, okay, what are we looking at, Jubanky?
So this is the lights of the potato farm that's in front of my house, but then you see the outline of Blanca. It's cloudy, but there's if you look up and you see this, I don't know, there's a triangle formation, something in the sky, but it's coming out of a cloud. And I just happened to catch it because I was trying to catch the aurora borealis. So the aurora borealis was active in the early morning hours of June 1st and June 2nd. And so this is right after the show. I even spoke about it. If you guys go back in the archives from last weekend, I spoke about going outside and taking pictures of the aurora borealis. So this is happened right after that show. I was outside for a few hours trying to take pictures, and I missed it by an hour. I didn't get to the aurora borealis, but I ended up catching this by accident in a still shot because I was trying to get the beginning of the northern lights, but I ended up going inside soon after this picture.
And just so everybody's in perspective, guys, at the bottom, the completely dark part is the land. Right above that, all those lights there, that's land level. The blackness above the lights is the mountain.
Yeah, that's the northern face of Mount Blanco, which I've shared footage before of that northern face being very active. And also the other side of it, the sand dune side, the western side of Mount Blanca, the sand dune side, has had activity for about 3 weeks straight. You can go out there and film some weird stuff.
And my question to people out there would be, if that's the mountain and then above that is the clouds, and then you see the light up there at the very top, which is very high in the sky coming through the clouds, what is that? And I zoomed in on it, which is this here. So just so you guys could see what this is, it appears to be, as Drew Banky has said, a triangle-shaped object. With the tip, you can see lights on each tip is what it appears to be. If you know this signature and you've seen this out there and you can say, oh, no, it's something else, please let us know. Because as of right now, it looks like something very weird. And you put it under a spectrum here, and I want to show that. This is what you detected. Talk about that. We got about 45 seconds, a minute.
Yeah,
left.
this is this is from Flat 6 and credit to Mothman and Flat 6 for putting this together. Mothman got the photo over to him and he enhanced it. I believe this with IR enhancement, I'm guessing. So just to show, it shows more of the definity of the triangle formation of the light. And that's another one. But yeah, I've sent this to a lot of people. Sid Goldberg over at Gaia and a lot of other people it's a few different people in MUFON has got this photo. So yeah, and everybody says it's very interesting. So it's my first triangle, and it was complete by accident, and I didn't feel anything when you know, a lot of people, a lot of the base questions are, did I feel anything? No, I didn't feel anything. It was more accident. I did take a picture right after it, because right after I took the picture, I looked and I saw it in the original up there, and I took a second picture. It wasn't there. So
all right, awesome stuff, Drew Becky. We're coming back right now. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, back half of the third hour. Last 20, 30 minutes here with us. It means take advantage of it. Take advantage of it, soak it in. We had an awesome conversation tonight with Kevin Day, hours 1 and 2. Make sure if you missed a drop of that, go ahead and go in the archive, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, as we now jump right back into the After Hours wrap up here with you, Banky. Kind of just talking and going deep into, you know, I'm one of those emotional guys too, right? I'm gonna say that right off the bat. I'm an emotional dude, and I don't know if that comes through or not. I have no clue. But some of those moments, man, when you pull on heartstrings, man, it can happen. It can happen to you, man, right in front of the world. Yeah. And you know, I always try to keep myself in that envelope to where, you know, you have to do your job, man. So I didn't really, but I very much felt the compassion, and I very much resonated with him the same way we did the first time, which, by the way, if you did not see the first interview, definitely go back. It's in the archive. It happened August of last year, and it was just another awesome conversation. We kind of broke the ice. We got into the TIC-TAC stuff deep. This time I wanted to kind of talk about it, but get away to the other things and just get Kevin's opinion, because whether, and as he doesn't, you know, he modestly says he doesn't know he's like a legend in the space, but hey, you were part of a historic moment. And not only that, we are watching you go through real life things live, and I just can't communicate how much that means to so many people. So if you're out there, you're hearing me, Kevin Day, on the After Hours wrap up. Usually we talk, you know, cool stuff about our guests, and I'm doing that again here. But if you're there, I just wanted to make sure that you heard that as well. Keep doing your great work, man, and keep wearing your heart on your sleeve. And yeah, what do you think, Drew Becky?
Yeah, it's funny. You were talking about emotion. I mean, if anyone has seen the episode on Homestead Rescue that we did, you know, they filmed for, I think, 9 days, but it seems like they took every clip of me crying and it made the final cut of the final episode.
You're a crybaby, Drew.
Yeah. It was emotion. It was very emotional. So I totally get it, and I totally agree with being emotional. And yeah, there's a time and place. But you know, who's to judge? You know, I see I was sitting back watching in the chat, because I knew, like, when you have Kevin Day on, you know, you're signing up for a certain type of interview. It's not gonna be a melancholy interview. He's gonna, you know, he's gonna talk passionately about things, and that's what it's gonna be. I was like, okay, this is gonna be our Sunday night tonight. So like I said, he's a good friend, and yeah, there's a lot of other veterans that I could bring on the show that would be a lot more vulgar than that. So, and a lot more passionate than that. So, but Kevin Day, like you said, you put it very clearly. Kevin Day was part of an historic event that's gonna go down, and it's gonna be talked about for a long time. It's one of the most transformational moments of when that you know, footage got released, obviously, and he was part of it. And when you trace it all back, he was one of the first ones to see it on the radar. So he was one of the very first human beings to see that. You know, I'm sure it's seen on radar before and all that other stuff. I mean, I'm sure it was seen by military before, but this incident, he was the very first person to see it. So trace it back like that and think about that, the implications of that. He is a part of a historic event, and we do have to recognize that and honor that.
And I think he was pretty fair. I think he let the world know, hey, this is not going to be a safe interview. We are going to go there. And I was like, hey, okay, well, hey, it's up to you, man. You want to go there? I'm totally open. Let's do it. Let's do it. Kevin Day. Hey, I'm following your lead. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And, that's one of those we got to have tough conversation moments. And I'll just do it. Or do I have to edit? Yeah, sure. I probably do. Or I'll just let this go. How about that? How about I just let this go to podcast? We don't send it to radio. It's a real conversation. I really hate censoring things that shouldn't be censored. You know what I mean? It's just him talking emotionally. And I think that's okay. But, I'm glad that I could be a place where he could sit out and say this stuff. I know he probably does this at home, and when he goes on other shows, he definitely does it. Or I don't know, because I haven't really, seen him lately on a lot of stuff. But I will say that I'm glad that this could be a place where he could do that. And I want, future individuals to know that this is one of those safe places where you can come and talk about how you feel, especially when it pertains to the phenomena, because it does, it touches each one of us differently. And even though one person might have viewed him kind of going too far on some of the stuff, there's another person that might totally align with his reaction and was like, man, I feel that way too. So if we got at least one of those people out there tonight that said, man, that's me, it's okay for me to express how I feel about this. It's okay for me to talk about how this encounter made me feel, this abduction. It's okay. And I think that was the message at the end of the day. And, like I said, I can't wait to see when he completely makes it through this traumatic part and he's able to gift his knowledge about how to deal with that to everyone else. Because I would hope that happens before disclosure. But, and I've asked this to other people too, psychotherapists. I think I asked, oh my gosh, she's gonna kill me. Susie Hansen and Mary Rodwell. I asked them, I was like, okay, there's gonna be a moment where do you think normal therapists are gonna be able to handle the influx of individuals that are gonna be going through this mental moment when disclosure hits, ontological shock? And it was better suited, and we had this conversation, that it would be better suited for someone within the field who has studied this and understands what they're going through to be the one to kind of facilitate that help. And I think you're seeing like one example of that. I know there's many other people out there who would probably join forces and be that, UFO therapy group that would be the place where I think a lot of people are going to have to go. Maybe even me. I may have to go there too at some point. Who knows? Once it really hits the fan, it may be something where we all have to go. But it's cool to kind of see the beginning stages of that. And then at the same time, we're going to have Reverend Michael Carter back on the show in about a month. And we're going to be, I feel like we're at the final steps of where we're almost there. And so there's this part of it, the trauma part. There's also, I think there's going to be a bigger part that religion plays in this. I don't know what it is, but I'm just feeling that way. I don't know how. But I think that these are the stops we're going to have to make before we get to that disclosure moment. What do you think about that?
Agreed. I wouldn't use the same language. I wouldn't use religion. It's I believe it'd be something different than that, but along the same lines. I think it's, and not even spirituality, because spirituality, is kind of like its own religion. But I think what we're going into is definitely will affect religion. I definitely think it's going to affect a lot of things, but it's people have been talking about it for a long time, the implications of disclosure and all that, what it'll change and all that. And one of the first things talked about is obviously religion, healthcare. And from there, like, you got to look, and we were talking about this last night. I think just me and you, Robert, was talking about on this same subject. Mm-hmm. But you got to think that everything that's connected to, like, especially like healthcare, there's all types of other businesses that is connected to healthcare. So it's going to affect a lot of things, and it's going to affect a lot of change. And, you know, these things that are happening in, you know, I know Kevin, obviously, and you were touching on the riots in Los Angeles that are happening right now, and all this other unrest that's happening around the world. But it's definite signs of something bigger happening. And you know, so if you can look past like what's in your face, and look at what's actually going on in the world, I think there's something very massive going on. And I think it's you know, what you were saying, if it is what a lot of us are implicating, this is one of the biggest things that's ever happened to us in humanity, not just in this lifetime or in the past couple generations. We're talking about that this could be the biggest event, like what's going on right now, this shift, the biggest event that's ever happened in the whole history of humanity, of humanity's history. And I think it's an evolutionary shift. I think it's an evolutionary shift in consciousness. I think it's an evolutionary shift in frequency and vibration. And I think that I think we're shifting into a new age of humanity. I really do. I think we're in the middle of that shift.
We definitely are. We definitely are. And like I said, we'll continue having these conversations. You know, got to shout out Kevin Day once again for coming in and just, you know, being on camera and being able to just, you know, allow your emotions to show. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I don't know, you know, because even in this moment, you know, there are a couple of times where I was just like, man, so aligned. And, you know, I don't want to sit up and tear up on camera. I'm not going to do it. I don't care what you guys say. I'm not going to do it. I hope, you know, at least yet, right? So, but I think, you know, it means so much to me, disclosure of not just disclosure, but just where humanity goes. If what we're doing is working towards that, these are very important things to me. Like, if we are not coming here to and getting together like this to move the needle and move ourselves closer to the goal, then what in the hell are we doing? I'll say hell because I won't say any other cuss words here. But what in the hell are we doing here if we're not, you know, doing things that get us closer to the answers? Like, what else are we doing? Like, what, huh? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, you know, if anyone was offended tonight by the conversation, I apologize for that. But you know, we definitely there's many more tough conversations to come. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So with that being said, where are you at with the Drew? Do you got something that you want to, you know, inspirational thing you want to say to everybody out there, kind of bring it back around before I jump into the news?
No, just you know, a lot. What you were just saying brought up something that comes up a lot when people go through ceremonies with me and stuff, that they come and like, what am I supposed to do now? And I'm like, well, just, you know, live your life and share your experience, and then follow the guidance of whatever, you know, has unlocked inside you, when that inner voice that's unlocked inside you, and follow that guidance, and, you know, the best that you can. But once I have so many people that they're like, come right out of a ceremony, and they're looking at me and they're like, yes, it makes sense, everything that you said. Like, what do you do after that moment? You know, what do you do with your life, like, other than sharing it with other people and trying to spread it? That's the only thing you can do, because that's the only thing that really feels right in your heart. Like, you know, and that's where I'm at. And I really truly feel that's where Kevin's at. I really truly feel that's where you're at, and so many other people that's in my circle, and people that I know, people that's in the chat, Polly, and so many other people. I know that they have had like a genuine experience, and the only thing that they know to do now is to try to spread that, you know, and try to help other people in whatever way they can. So I'll leave them with that.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, Becky. Just care about each other out there, and just know that we all are trying to get to the same goal. So skeptics included. I haven't talked to skeptics in a while. Skeptics, if you're out there, I hope you are. I hope you're coming in to watch the show, enjoying the conversation as well. You guys are all included in that. We're all included. We're going to the same place. You might as well hop in the car, right? You might as well hop in the car with us, or vice versa, and because we're going to the same destination. So with that being said, awesome after hours wrap up tonight, Drew Banky. I think an impactful show, right? We'll see how it goes. We'll see how people feel. As Jules says, the archives are always free, so you can rewatch this. Maybe you'll form a different opinion second time around once you let whatever offended you go and just listen to what the actual message is. I think you'll come out a lot better. Drew, I'm going to get the news, and then guess what? I'm taking myself home. Enjoy your family tonight. Have a great rest of your night. We'll talk again later this week and get ready for next week.
If you want to see any of those pictures or look at them in more detail, they're all over my socials. So go over to my socials and you can look at them deeper. Copy paste them and whatever do to them.
Actually, don't go anywhere because we're going to do the UFO so big after the show. So I'll just jump into the news real quick and then we'll continue for a little bit right after the show.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into UFO and weird news of the week. And I think I got a couple good ones for you guys. We'll go ahead and take a look at it right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, everybody, UFO and weird news of the week. And this is a scary story here. I don't know. Scientists reveal how likely doomsday scenario that would see whole Earth swallowed is and how we could avoid it. Researchers from Durham University revealed what they found after carrying out 100,000 simulations of the potentially catastrophic event by Olivia Burke. Shout out Olivia Burke, LED Bible. Although there's more than enough doom and gloom to go around as it is, people can't help but wonder when the world's doomsday will come. There's a few different scenarios which have been proposed by experts, while Elon Musk has even thrown his hat into the ring to share his bleak prediction too. And now scientists have put on one of these hypotheses about the annihilation of humankind to the test to see just how likely it really is. Essentially, the Andromeda galaxy could be on a course to collide with its closest neighbor, our beloved Milky Way galaxy. According to NASA, the pair are soaring towards one another at 300,000 miles per hour. And apparently, this could spell big trouble for our planet. What could happen? Boffins have warned that a head-on collision could end life on Earth for good, but don't panic, as this is all at least 5 billion years away yet. Basically, if the Milky Way and Andromeda smash into one another, it would lead to a grand merger between two behemoths, and together they would evolve into a huge elliptical galaxy, NASA explains. But what will happen to little old Earth? Well, as we still have 5 billion years before this doomsday scenario could unfold, a lot of changes in the solar system will have already taken place by then. The sun will likely be nearing the end of its life by this point, and if it burns out and turns into a red giant, it will engulf Earth, making the planet uninhabitable. Or, as NASA puts it, the world will be reduced to a frigid, lifeless cinder. Doomsday scenario study, given the stakes are very high for humans. If this collision occurs, some of our best and brightest have decided to find out how likely the scenario actually is. Researchers from Durham University have now weighed up the probability of Andromeda and the Milky Way bumping into one another and swallowing Earth in the process. During the study, the team carried out 100,000 simulations of the event to see what varying outcomes there could be, including whether the galaxies could politely pass each other without making contact. In 2% of these simulations, the worst did happen, and the pair collided within a period of 5 billion years. In about half of the simulations, Andromeda and Milky Way passed by each other slowly, so slowly that they both began to spiral around, eventually leading to a merger between them. But the good news is these simulations seem to have pushed the timeline back a bit. They estimated that this scenario could take place within 8 to 10 billion years rather than 5 billion. So the research suggests that the forecasted collision between the two galaxies might not spell the end of the world after all, as it probably won't be as we probably won't be here when the galaxies merge anyway. What have experts said? Dr. Til Sawala of the University of Helsinki is the lead author of the interesting study, as he explained what the outcome of the research suggests. Our results suggest that a collision, even if it happens, might take place after the Earth and Sun no longer exist. He told Daily Mail, even if it happens before that, it's very unlikely that something would happen to Earth in this case, even when two galaxies collide. Collisions between stars are very unlikely. Co-author of the research paper says, we see external galaxies often colliding and merging with other galaxies, sometimes producing the equivalent of cosmic fireworks when gas driven to the center of the merger remnant feeds a central black hole, emitting an enormous amount of radiation before irrevocably falling into the hole. Until now, we thought this was the fate that awaited our Milky Way galaxy. We know now there's a very good chance that we may avoid that scary destiny. We got another galaxy to thank for helping the planet hopefully dodge this bullet, as the pull from the large Magellanic Cloud could be enough to make sure the Milky Way doesn't veer too close to Andromeda. This satellite galaxy might be small, but it's strong. The experts said that after incorporating the large Magellanic Cloud, other neighbors of galaxies in simulations, it reassured them that this doomsday scenario is not a major concern. And it's 5 billion years away, so it's like none of us will probably be here as far as human beings. We might be robots by then, or we might have fused ourselves into AI and have long left Earth. So I don't think we have any concern about that. With that being said, I think we had a fantastic show tonight. I definitely appreciate everybody being out there and even voicing your concerns and your voice. I saw everybody in the chat. I think all your opinions matter. Everybody who came tonight and who showed up. Also want to thank the super chatters for the night, because you guys came through in a big way tonight, and that's appreciated. Kitty Catty Whack with the super chat. We had Aloha Dave, who I haven't seen in forever, saying thank you, Mr. Dave, for sharing your story, your thoughts, and especially your opinions. I share those. Awesome stuff, Aloha Dave. He touched you, and that's a cool thing to know. Deb from Sacramento, who threw the $2 super sticker out there, appreciate you. And then she went in and said, I'm just going to put another one out there. And then she did another one. So 3 from, or actually, no, she didn't stop there. She went for 4. 4 for Deb from Sacramento. Appreciate it. Says, good thing Joe Monk wasn't here. Yeah, that's probably the case. So we want to thank Kevin Day for being who he is all the time. Also want to thank Drew Banky with After Hours Wrap Up. Cool guy right here. Very thoughtful guy. Also, Steve Stockton tells and told missing person mysteries. Cool stories here. And I want to thank myself tonight, too. I think I may have done an okay job. Let me know by hitting the like button. Also want to thank Ron Bummerfoot, the man that lets us know each and every show to never say never again, right? Because the phenomena is totally and exceptionally real, which means anything and everything beneath that is possible. If you love the show tonight, once again, take your time to hit the like button. Let us know you liked it. We appreciate you tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. What's that, Jubanky?
We own the night.
We do. We own the night. Definitely want to thank everybody for coming on in. This show is copyright SOR Media Ventures Limited, Spaced Out Radio. It's been a pleasure. Once again, serving you as your host, having those tough conversations. I'm Mr. Rob G. This is Drew Banky. This is the After Hours Radio Show. And to all you space travelers out there, this is not a goodbye nor a farewell. However, you can best believe as we go off air for the night, we'll be back here having those tough conversations again. Till next time, guys, take care. right, clear, awesome show, awesome stuff. So we're just going to be here for a quick second here because I just want to. We talked about the UFO so big, right, Ross Coldart. Then there was some coordinates put out by somebody in the chat. We kind of started going down a rabbit hole. We said, you know what, let's go ahead and take a look at this. And it's been a week since we last talked about it. And I looked further into it. And some of you viewers out there sent me emails and all sorts of things about you guys also looked into it, which was cool. I did figure out what was going on here. And let me go ahead and bring it up for everybody. So this very compelling thing we were going over, and let me bring it up on stage here. And let me move some assets out the way here real quick as we go ahead and bring this up. Remove that. Okay. All right. So what we had was, and let me make sure I know what we're looking at. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. So we got the coordinates. Someone in the chat went ahead and put the coordinates out there. We went ahead, saw that, and we looked it up. And we came to this place, which was in Korea, because here's the backstory. Ross Coulthard, a couple years ago, claimed that he was told about the location of a UFO that was so big that they had to build a building around it. And, you know, for the last couple of years, everyone's been pretty hard on him. And every time he does an interview, that's the first question that gets asked by the audience. And he finally addressed it recently, just like, man, I'm not going to tell you. It's you know, journalistic integrity and protecting sources. And I'm just not going to tell you because it actually puts risk, potentially some assets, some American assets. He did state it's not in the United States. Joe Rogan then goes, interviewing AJ from the Y-Files during their conversation. He talks about, yeah, the UFO is so big that they had to build a building around it in Korea. And so he kind of just said that. So everybody's like, whoa, okay, we never heard a location before. And then so everybody's going down that rabbit hole. Now, with that being said, someone put in the chat as we were having the conversation some coordinates in Korea. And we came to this little weird thing on the map. First, we didn't see anything. It was like, okay, shopping center doesn't mean anything. Then we saw this. It was like, whoa, okay, that's weird. It's round. It's completely round. And we zoomed in closer and we're like, man, whoa, that's crazy. Like, why? What's the purpose? And someone said this was an army building. This is what they stated. Someone in the chat who had given the information said that this was an army building owned by the United States Army or United States military is what we'll just say. And so we're like, oh, okay, if that's true, then why would they build a building shaped like this? And obviously, this is the same shape that you would consider a UFO, classic UFO or saucer, right? So immediately those two things are like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense. The building would have to be round if they're building it around a saucer-shaped object. So this is all we had. It was like nobody with boots on the ground in South Korea to be able to go look at and see what this is. So we had done some research and received some emails from some people who had done some measurements on the building. Stated there was only like 86 meters across. I'm like, well, you know, it's about the size of a grocery store. And I'm like, you know what? 86 meters is still pretty big. It's like 309 feet. Like if any object that you couldn't cut up and you just had to drag or carry somewhere that was 309 feet, technically would be too big to move and you might have to build a building around it. So it's kind of where it was, right? So we left it. We went off air. We said, hey, you know, this is enough for someone out there to look into it and figure out what this is. Is this what he was talking about, or can we take it off the list? Well, sadly, or I don't know how you want to look at it, we can take it off the list because I found out today exactly what this is. And guess what? It's a big old nothing burger. This is what it is. This is the front gate. And let me just zoom this in. This is the front gate to this facility. If you see, there's the shack right there, which you do see depicted in the video. If you go back right there, I don't know if you can see it to the right of the circle building. There's that shack. And so here's right outside. So you see behind the shack, you see like the roof of whatever that circle building is. So I'm like, okay. Did a little bit more, went ahead and looked at this sign. I was like, you know what? Let me translate the sign. Let's see what this is. Maybe it tells us something. So it comes back, it's like Anyang Airlines or something like that. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. It was a round building for an airline. Like, there's no planes around. We don't see anything like that. Could that be a front? No, I don't know. Went a little further, looked at the bottom where it says KAC, looked into that. That's where things started falling into place. Because KAC is the Korean Airport Corporation, and this is the KAC Research and Development Center, where they test new technologies. This is like communication with planes and things of that nature, radar essentially, right? So I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense, because as you can see right here, what is that? That is, keep an eye on that circle part in the top and that little column sticking out at the top. If you go back to this building, what do you got? You got the circle thing in the middle with the little pillar thing sticking out top. This is a radar that they use for research and development, and has nothing to do with the building so big that they had to, or UFO so big they had to build a building around it. So some of you, sorry, and but this is the process, right? And so I'm glad that we were able to kind of come to some sort of conclusion, because guess what? We get to kick this off the list. We get to get this out of there and no longer ever look at this again. We know exactly what it is. Let's move on, and let's go on to the next. And that's a beautiful example. So I just want to make sure that everybody saw that. That's what that is. And actually, here is here's the logo. So it just does some radar stuff, and this is who they are. KAC, Korean Airports Corporation, Research and Development. To find out what else they do, you can look them up, but that's who the building belongs to. Or I think it's a radar dish, actually. You can't see the bottom of it in the image, but based on the video they had out, it looks to be just a radar. So womp, womp, womp. How do you feel about that, Drew? Are you disappointed, or are you just glad we can get it out the way now?
They're still on my list, bro.
Hey.
Still on my list.
It's still on your list.
It's a private corporation that's studying aerospace. It's still on my list, bro.
Okay. They might be doing something strange over there, but I don't think there's a UFO under there.
I will say this: like, if there's a UFO big enough that they have to build a building around, and it's round, I don't think they're gonna build a round building around it.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't want to say this last week, because then it's like, why look into it, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Yeah,
it's
interesting.
Totally right. It's interesting. You gotta look into it, man. Because hey, I said that, but also sometimes it's hiding stuff in plain sight is the best course of action. So
Ross said the building serves a dual purpose. But from what I gather, this, if you look at because we can't see, there's no image of the bottom of it. So, but this, if you look at this, then you can kind of understand what's under there, right? So it's like these pillars, and it's like a radar kind of sitting up in the air, and that's kind of what it is that we're seeing when we look at that. Now, I don't know if anything's underneath. I don't believe it is, but I can tell you that the KAC was formulated in 1980. This building, or whatever this is, has been around for some time. Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with it. I think we could take it off the list, but keep the data, right? The data is still data. It might be part of something else that we're not even thinking of, but I can almost say 100%, 99.9, because nothing's 100%. It's not the UFO. It's not the building that they had to build around the UFO so big, right? So it's not it. Yeah. So,
well, I think we figured it out, and this is what led us to look in South Korea. Was there's enough things that've been said and clues that we kind of narrowed it down to it's in South Korea, and it's probably some type of military installation. So we do know that through circumstantial evidence, and there's enough circumstantial evidence for us to be looking in South Korea. Is there enough to say it's definitely in South Korea? No, but it's American asset, and it's on the Korean Peninsula, so that's just common sense saying that has to be in South Korea somewhere, or maybe it is in North Korea. Maybe it's this big secret we don't know about that is some type of world government that's overseeing some type of weird stuff that's going on in North Korea. Who knows? But
so
go ahead.
This is where logic stops and then conspiracy theories are born, right? Because now Shaq Valet, shout out to Shaq Valet though. Shout out to Shaq Valet. Showing computer graphics of potential content is not proof, Rob. True, but there are no other images to pull from. Well, and there may be deeper on the internet, but I think we have enough evidence to say that this isn't a building, for one, and then for two, if it isn't a building, then I don't think that this is the thing that Ross Coulthard, only he can, I guess, say, because he knows essentially where the location is. He knows if this is right or wrong. So when you see Ross Coulthard out there, ask him, and then see the look on his face and see if you can kind of get an answer on that. But if you persist past, I think there's enough evidence. And here's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about middle of the road is you can go either way based on the evidence. So right now, as it stands, there's enough there to kind of say, hey, this is probably nothing to this. Now, there may be something that somebody brings later that kind of brings it back into the conversation, right? But I don't think you immediately stand on a hill that says, that no, could still be the UFO. Not because then you're wasting time at that point on something that you already have enough evidence to say isn't anything. And then that's where you are wasting your time in a rabbit hole where you could be using that time to find out where the actual building is that was so big, or that's covering the UFO that was so big that they had to build a building around it. And I think that's a lesson at the end of the day. It's easy to be like, nah, but there's still more. You go underground. No, dig underground underneath that, and I bet you it's under there. Yeah, that's where conspiracy theories are born. And let's deal in logic. Let's deal in the common sense God gave us, because I think that's the thing that answers questions. And as Flat Six said, it was definitely fun looking into it and getting answers, because being able to come back and say, here, this is what I found. No one's been able to come in a week and come back and give evidence of the contrary. So where we're at is where we're at right now. And if somebody has something different, hey, we're here every single week, and we would love to see that next week.
Right. And nobody's drinking Kool-Aid around here.
Yeah. Drew Becky. All right, man. Hey, Drew, awesome show tonight, man. Great information, putting bows on stuff here on the After Hours Radio Show. You have a great rest of your night, man. I'm totally out of here. I'm just out of here.
I'm out.
All right.
I'm out.
All right.
See you guys
We're
later.
all out. We want retribution. That's how we close the show. You guys have a great rest of your night. We're shutting this thing on down. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Beat in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Take the thing to see. Just like a weed, spread into the streets. Time to make them bleed. Cause we just want retribution. Let's go light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. Flip cards in the weak and harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.